You wake up. The alarm goes off. Coffee, traffic, work, fatigue, screens, sleep. You wake up. The alarm goes off. Coffee, traffic. Have you ever had the unsettling feeling that you have already lived this day? I am not just referring to the work routine. I am referring to the exact texture of your suffering. You look at your bank account and feel the same anxiety you felt 3 years ago. You look at your partner and have the same sterile argument you had with your ex-partner 5 years ago. You promise yourself that this time will be different, that you are going to change, that you are going to start the gym, that you will quit that vice. But 3 weeks later, you find yourself at exactly the same starting point, with the same guilt and the same helplessness. Welcome to Groundhog Day. In the movie, it was a comedy. In your life, it is a psychological horror film. What you are experiencing is not bad luck, it is not coincidence, and it is definitely not a lack of will. You are trapped in a recursive loop, a faulty computer program that runs over and over again until someone reboots the system. The ancient mystics of India called it Samsara, the wheel of suffering that turns eternally. The Gnostics called it the black jail, a prison designed not with steel bars but with frequency bars. It is designed to keep your consciousness trapped, recycling the same emotional energy over and over again. Modern science calls it the default mode network. The name does not matter. The result is the same. You are a hamster running at 200 kilometers per hour on a static wheel. You sweat, you strive, you bleed, but you do not advance. You do not move even a millimeter. Society tells you that to move forward you have to run faster. Strive more. Work harder. It is a lie. If you are on a hamster wheel, running faster only tires you out faster. To move forward, you don't have to run. You have to jump, you have to get off the wheel. And getting off the wheel is the most terrifying and revolutionary act a human being can commit. This audiobook is not a self-help manual for you to decorate your cell and feel more comfortable in your prison. I am not going to teach you how to be a happy hamster. This audiobook is an escape plan. We are going to analyze the architecture of the prison. We are going to identify the invisible guards, Archons and traumas that push you back into the circle every time you try to escape. And I am going to give you the lever to jam the gear. I warn you, leaving the loop requires killing who you were. The current you is designed for the loop. To survive outside of it, you need to become something else. You need to stop being a repetitive character in someone else's script and become the author. Do you hear that background hum? It is the sound of your life repeating itself. Today we are going to cut the cable. Today the eternal return ends. Welcome to the emergency exit. Chapter 1, Ouroboros, the snake that eats itself. In ancient texts and medieval alchemy, a serpent or dragon biting its own tail is often represented. It is called Ouroboros. Neophytes and romantics see eternity, unity, the endless cycle of nature in this symbol. They see beauty. But the initiate, the one who has awakened in Gnosis, sees something very different. He sees a cage. He sees a closed system that devours itself to survive. He sees energetic cannibalism. The Ouroboros does not represent the immortality of the soul. It represents the trap of unconscious reincarnation. It represents your current life, eating your own past, digesting it and vomiting it as your future again and again, without ever leaving the circle. Today we are going to let go of the snake's tail. The fundamental structure of the matrix in which we live is not a pyramid, it is a circle. Observe the nature of your 3D reality. The earth revolves around the sun, circle. The moon revolves around the earth. The seasons repeat. Water evaporates and rains. It guarantees stability. But for consciousness, for the divine spirit that dwells in you, the circle is death. The spirit does not want stability, it wants expansion. The spirit is an arrow, not a wheel. The fundamental conflict of your existence is that you are an infinite arrow trapped in a finite wheel. That friction is what you call anxiety, existential void or depression. It is your soul screaming because it gets dizzy. You have been spinning for eons. You have lived this life, or variations of it, thousands of times. You have made the same mistakes, cried for the same losses, and felt the same fear of death. The Ouroboros is the guardian of this cycle. It keeps you eating your own tail, believing you are moving forward, when you are only going around the block to return to the starting point. By Nietzsche's curse, the eternal return. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who looked into the abyss, proposed the most terrifying thought experiment in history, the eternal return. Imagine that tonight, a demon sneaks into your dream and whispers to you, "This life, as you are living it now and as you have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it. On the contrary, every pain and every joy, every thought and every sigh, the unspeakably small and the great of your life, will have to return to you all in the same order." How would you respond to that demon? Would you throw yourself to the ground, gnashing your teeth and cursing him? Or have you become someone who could tell him, "I have never heard anything more divine"? Most human beings, if they are honest, would live this as a torture. To repeat this job, this heartbreak, this mediocrity, eternally, without changes. That is hell. And the bad news is that it is not a thought experiment, it is the default configuration of reality. Unless you introduce a new variable, the equation x plus y, high Zalos, will always give the same result. If your thoughts, x, and emotions, y, are the same as yesterday, your tomorrow, z, is identical. Linear time is an optical illusion. You think you are going toward the future, but in reality you are walking on a treadmill. The landscape changes slightly, but you are in the same energetic coordinates. 2. The physics of closed systems entropy. The Ouroboros is a closed system. In thermodynamics, a closed system does not exchange energy with the outside. Over time, energy degrades. Entropy, chaos, increases. If you recycle water infinite times without filtering it, it rotted. If you recycle your thoughts without new information, you become neurotic, rigid, and senile. Look at the elderly who have not left the loop. They are not wise, they are scratched records. They tell the same stories from 40 years ago. They complain about the same pains. Their worlds have shrunk to a tiny room. The Ouroboros has eaten itself until almost nothing is left. To get out, you need to become an open system. You need to inject new energy. You need gnosis, information, knowledge that comes from outside the system. That is why you are listening to this. What I am telling you does not come from culture or society, which are parts of the loop. It comes from the Hermetic tradition, which is the information leak from the outside. This information acts like a beneficial virus. It breaks entropy. It gives you the energy necessary to stop decaying and start evolving. 30. Circular time versus spiral time. Here is the geometric key to the escape. You cannot destroy the circle. We live on a circular planet in biological cycles, but you can elevate it. If you take a circle and stretch it upward, toward the third dimension, you get a spiral. In a spiral, you pass through the same point, but you are on a higher level. 2. Circle. You have money problems, you get anxious, you get into debt, you suffer. Repetition. Spiral. You have money problems, but this time, you don't get anxious. You use your creativity, learn a lesson, and solve the problem faster. You have passed through the same coordinate, xy, but at a different height, $. That is evolution. Leaving the loop does not mean you will never have problems again. It means you will never have the same problem in the same way again. It means each turn makes you stronger, richer, wiser. The Ouroboros stops eating its tail and begins to ascend like the Kundalini serpent up the spine. It ceases to be a circle of death and becomes a propulsion spring. The gravity of habit biology of the loop. Why is it so difficult to leave? Why do you go back to your toxic ex? Why do you eat the food that kills you? Because your biology is an energy-saving machine. The brain consumes 20% of your energy. To save, it automates everything it can. It creates neural grooves, information highways. Once a habit has formed, the brain protects it. For the brain, the known is safe, even if painful. The unknown is dangerous, even if freedom. The brain prefers a familiar hell to an unknown heaven. When you try to leave the loop, your reptilian brain panics. It activates the amygdala. It throws fear, anxiety, doubts, physical pain at you. It is the loop's immune system attacking you, so you return to the line. It is gravity. Imagine a rocket trying to leave Earth. Gravity is maximum just before takeoff. The rocket shakes, spends tons of fuel, makes an infernal noise. Most people, Upon feeling that shaking, turn off the engine. Oops, this feels bad, I better go back to how it was before. And the rocket falls. The Ouroboros smiles. V escape velocity. To break gravity, you need to reach escape velocity. In physics, it is the minimum speed an object needs to free itself from the gravitational attraction of a massive body without additional propulsion. In metaphysics, it is the threshold of pain or will necessary to break the pattern. There are two ways to reach this speed. Suffering karmic. Life hits you so hard, the loop becomes so unbearable, you hit such a deep bottom that the energy of desperation expels you. It is painful, but effective. It is propulsion by explosion. 2. Wisdom initiatic. You don't wait for the blow. You generate the energy voluntarily through discipline and consciousness. You decide to change not because it hurts, but because you love yourself. It is controlled propulsion. The problem is that most live in the uncomfortable comfort zone. Their life is bad, but not bad enough to explode. They have debts, but enough to eat. They don't love their partner, but they don't hate each other. That lukewarmness is the perfect trap of the Ouroboros. It is the water heating up slowly for the frog. They never jump because it never burns enough, until they boil to death. If you are in that lukewarm zone, provoke a crisis. Wake up. Get angry. Anger is better than resignation. Use it to break gravity. This the Black Swan event, the anomaly. Nassim Taleb talks about the Black Swan, an unpredictable event that changes everything. To leave the loop, you have to be your own Black Swan. The loop works with a prediction algorithm. Your subconscious knows what you are going to do before you do. It knows that if you feel sad, you will eat chocolate. It knows that if they criticize you, you will get defensive. It is a predictable script. To hack the system, you have to introduce an anomaly. You have to do something illogical. If always when they insult you, you shout, today, when they insult you, laugh or stay in absolute silence. Crash. The system fails. The algorithm doesn't know what to do. A breach opens in the matrix. If you always go to work by the same street, today go through the park, even if you are late. If you are shy, today talk to a stranger. Break the pattern. Routine feeds Ouroboros. Each unpredictable act is a hammer blow on the cell bars. 7. Identity as a prison. The hardest part of Ouroboros is that you are in love with the snake. The snake is your identity. You say, I am like this. I am melancholy. I am poor, but honest. I am one of those who always struggle. Those phrases are the bars. To define yourself is to limit yourself. The moment you say, I am X, you are condemned. You are condemned to repeat the behaviors of X. If you want to leave the loop, you have to be willing to kill your character. You have to be willing to be nobody for a while. The void of identity terrifies the ego. But in that void is where you are free. The initiate is nothing and is everything. He has no fixed form. He flows like water, and water cannot be caught by a snake. It escapes through its teeth. Fate, the commitment of no return. When Hernán Cortés arrived in the New World, he burned his ships. Why? Because he knew that if his soldiers had the option to return to Spain, return to the known loop, at the first difficulty, they would flee. By removing the return option, only one remained: conquer or die. That is the attitude necessary to leave Ouroboros. People try to change with back doors open. I'm going to try this business, but if it goes wrong, I'll go back to my parents' house. You have already failed. The loop is going to swallow you because your energy is divided. Escape requires totality. You have to burn the ships of your old life. Throw away the cigarettes, don't keep them just in case. Delete your ex's number, don't keep it for emergency. Cut the bridge. The fear of having nowhere to return will give you the superhuman strength to build something new. Chasi, the hope trap. In Pandora's box, the last thing left was hope. We have been sold that hope is good. In the context of the loop, hope is the most potent narcotic of the Archons. Hope keeps you in the loop because it makes you expect a better future without changing the present. You hope that someday your luck will change. You hope that God will provide chance without you moving a finger. Hope is passive. It is the carrot tied to the stick so the donkey walks. The initiate kills hope and replaces it with intention. He doesn't hope to be free. He decides to be free. He doesn't hope the loop breaks. He breaks it. Stop waiting. Waiting is circular time. Action is spiral time. Assume that no one is coming to save you. Assume that if you don't do it today, it will never happen. That active hopelessness is the fuel for the escape. Practice the loop autopsy. You are going to perform a cold observation exercise. You need to see the snake to be able to let it go. Exercise. For the next 3 days, carry a small notebook with you. Your mission is to hunt repetitions. Every time you have a recurring negative thought or an automatic habit, write it down. 9:02 a.m. Thought about how I hate my job. Repetition, number 4500. 02:02 p.m. Ate sugar out of anxiety. Repetition, talk 800. 08:02 p.m. Felt lonely and looked at Instagram for 2 hours. Repetition, do 1000. At the end of the 3rd day, read the list. You will feel nausea. You will feel horror. You will see the mechanical structure. You will see the Ouroboros eating your life. That horror is good. That horror is consciousness. The first step to waking up is realizing that you are asleep. Once you see the pattern, you can no longer unsee it. Next time you go to eat sugar out of anxiety, you will remember the list. There will be a pause. In that pause, get out of the loop. Choose the apple, choose the water, choose to breathe. Do it once and then again. That is how the snake is killed, letting it starve to death, bite by bite. Chapter 2. The Archons Energy Farmers. You have been taught that the human being is the alpha predator of the planet, that you are at the top of the food chain. Look around you. Look at the history of wars, genocides, unnecessary suffering, and emotional chaos that defines humanity. Do you really believe this is natural? Do you believe an intelligent species would destroy its own habitat and torture itself by accident? The Gnostics, 2,000 years ago, discovered a terrifying secret in the Nag Hammadi texts. We are not alone in our mind. There is an inorganic presence, a cold and predatory intelligence that shepherds us. They called them Archons, the rulers. Don Juan Matus called them the flyers. The Matrix calls them agents, no matter the name. What matters is their function. They are farmers, and we are the cattle. And what they milk is not milk. It is your pain. To understand why it is so difficult to leave the loop, you must first accept an uncomfortable premise. The loop is not a system error. It is a design feature. If you have a sheep farm, you build fences, loops, so the sheep do not escape. Not because you hate the sheep, but because you need their wool and meat. From the sheep's perspective, the fence is a tragedy that limits its freedom. From the farmer's perspective, the fence is a resource management tool. Ancient metaphysics suggests that the Earth is an energy farm. The universe is a system of energy exchange, trophic. Plants eat sunlight, animals eat plants. We eat animals and plants. And who eats us? Do you believe the chain stops at you? That would be biological arrogance. Above us, in a subtle dimension that interpenetrates ours, there exist entities that do not have a biological body, but need energy to sustain their form. They cannot eat lettuce, they cannot eat meat. They eat what you generate, emotional and psychic energy. What is loosh, the currency of the Matrix? Robert Monroe, the pioneer of astral travel, coined the term loosh to describe this energy. Loosh is the emotional radiation emitted by a sentient being when it finds itself in a state of extreme intensity. Every emotion is energy in motion, emotion. But not all emotions feed the same thing. Love, peace, joy, and creativity are very high and fast frequencies. For these dense entities, those frequencies are like poison or fire. They cannot digest them. Fear, anger, lust, depression, jealousy, and pain are low and dense frequencies. They are rich, heavy, and nutritious. They are the caviar of the Archons. The loop of your life is specifically designed to maximize loosh production. Think about it coldly. If your life were perfect, calm, and happy always, you would not generate loosh. You would be a lean cow energetically for them. For you to be productive, they need drama, they need crises, they need your partner to leave you. They need you to lose money. They need there to be a war in the news or a global pandemic. Human suffering is not random, it is harvest. Every time you stay awake until 3 in the morning ruminating on anxiety, you are serving a banquet. Every time you explode in anger in traffic, you are filling the tank of your jailers, i.e. the foreign mind, the installation. Carlos Castaneda, in The Active Side of Infinity, describes the predators who gave us their mind. This is the key revelation. The voice you hear in your head is not always you. Analyze your internal dialogue. Is it kind? Is it constructive? Does it empower you? Or is it a critical, obsessive voice that reminds you of your failures? A voice that instills fear about the future and insults you? Why would you, a being seeking happiness, have a mind that actively boycotts you to be unhappy? It is counterintuitive from an evolutionary point of view. Unless that mind is not yours. The Gnostics say that the Archons infected us with their own psyche. It is a foreign installation. They gave us the negative ego. The predator uses your nervous system to create thoughts that generate negative emotions. The predator whispers a thought to you. Your partner is cheating on you, even if you have no proof. You believe that thought, you identify. Your body reacts by generating a chemical explosion of jealousy and fear. Loosh. The predator feeds on that explosion. The cycle repeats. You are the bioreactor. The intrusive thought is the lever that opens the energy valve. Leaving the loop implies learning to distinguish between your voice, the voice of the self, which is silent, intuitive, and peaceful, and the installation, the voice of the Archon. Threat, Agent Smith and organic portals. How do they ensure you don't escape? Sometimes the attack does not come from within your mind, but from outside. Simulation theory speaks of organic portals, or spiritless people, NPCs. People who are biologically human, but lack the individualized divine spark or active higher chakras. They are part of the hive. They are the Agent Smith of Matrix. When you start to awaken, to raise your vibration and to stop producing loosh, the system is alerted. Alert, Unit number 458 has stopped suffering. Energy production has fallen to zero. The system sends someone to prick you. Suddenly your mother calls you to fight over a trifle. Your boss becomes irrational. A stranger insults you in the street. It seems like a coincidence, but the timing is perfect. Just when you were at peace, the attack comes. Those individuals are being used, often unconsciously, as vectors of emotional contagion. They are momentary puppets of the Archons to lower your frequency. They want you to react. They want you to go back to the mud to fight. If you react, they win. They plug you back into the milking machine. Thai-Fi, the false garden religion, the worship harvest. This will offend many, but it is necessary to say, not all loosh is fear. They also like servile worship. The Gnostics identified the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, the false creator of this material world. A jealous, wrathful, and tyrannical god who demands sacrifices and blind obedience. Much of organized religion does not connect with the true source, the monad, the pleroma, but rather connects with these astral entities. When you see masses of people crying, shouting, feeling guilty for their sins, screaming for mercy in a temple, that is a massive harvest of energy. Guilt is a delicious flavor for them. Fanaticism is high-quality loosh. They keep you in a loop of sinner, repentance, sinner, because that guarantees eternal, energetic submission. The true source does not need your worship, nor your energy, nor your sacrifices. The true source is all, it lacks nothing. Only a parasite demands that you feed it and tell it how great it is. V. Wetico, the psychic virus. The Native American indigenous people spoke of the Wetico, a mental virus of selfishness and spiritual cannibalism. The Wetico blinds the host. It makes them believe that destroying others, accumulating infinite resources, and living in constant fear is rational. Our modern society is a Wetico civilization. Consumerism is an Archon ritual. They make you feel a void created by them and tell you to fill it by buying things you do not need. You work 8 hours in a job you hate, generating suffering, boredom, to buy things that give you ephemeral pleasure, cheap dopamine, and then you feel the void again. It is the perfect loop of consumption and production. They consume your energy, you consume their material garbage. Verify the trauma strategy. To ensure a long-term food source, the farmers mark the cattle. In humans, the mark is trauma. An unresolved childhood trauma is an open wound in your auric field that constantly leaks energy. Furthermore, it creates a crack in your psyche, where these entities can easily enter and exit to manipulate you. The trauma repetition loop, seeking abusive partners again, for example, is provoked. They push you towards situations that replicate your original wound to reopen it and drink from the fresh emotional blood. That is why trauma healing is not just mental health, it is spiritual defense. By healing the trauma, you close the crack, you scar the tissue, you stop smelling of blood, and the predator loses interest in you because you are no longer easy prey. Therefore, the diet of impassivity, starving them. Here we reach the solution. How do you fight against interdimensional beings that control the system? You cannot fight with weapons. You cannot fight with hate. Hate feeds them. If you fight the Archon, you give it energy. The only way to win is to starve them to death. The technique is called impassivity, or apatheia in Stoicism. It means reaching a state of sovereign neutrality. When the system sends you a crisis, do not react. Observe, feel, but do not identify. Do not generate the explosion of fear or anger they expect. Imagine that you are a grey stone. The predator bites you looking for emotional juice. If you respond with drama, it finds juice and returns. If you respond with neutrality, peace, silence, it breaks its teeth. It gets nothing. If you do this consistently, the predator leaves, not out of morality, but out of economics. You are energetically expensive for them. They spend energy trying to provoke you and get no return. You become invisible to the system. They take you off the list of priority targets. Fifth, energetic sovereignty, revocation of consent. There is a universal law that even the Archons must respect, with tricks, but they must. The law of free will. They cannot violate your free will directly. They have to deceive you so that you give them permission. They do it through fraudulent soul contracts or tacit consent. They make you believe that you have to suffer to learn. They make you believe that you have to pay karma. If you believe that, you have given your consent to be eaten. He believes he deserves to suffer, so we can make him suffer. The way out is the revocation of contracts. You must stand in your center of power and declare, out loud and with intention, I revoke any permission, contract, or agreement, conscious or unconscious, that I have made with any entity that does not serve my highest good. I do not consent to being drained. I do not consent to suffer. I am sovereign. This is my energy, and I forbid any parasite from touching it. This seems simple, but on the astral plane, it is a nuclear bomb. You change your cosmic legal status from slave to free man-woman. When you withdraw consent with real authority, without fear, they have to step back. The danger of false light. Beware of the final trap. When you die or when you wake up, sometimes the Archons do not appear as monsters, but as angels of light, ascended masters, or deceased relatives. They wrap you in synthetic love and tell you, you have done very well, but you still need to learn a lesson about forgiveness. You must return to Earth once more to balance your karma. It is a trick. It is the tunnel of light trick. It is a recycling trap to put you back into the loop of the Ouroboros. They want you to sign a new incarnation contract with erased memory. The awakened Gnostic upon dying does not go blindly to the light. He looks at the light, scans it, and asks, are you the true light or are you a projection? The sovereign does not accept orders from external guides. The sovereign decides where to go. He turns upon himself and heads to the pleroma, the galactic center, the real source, ignoring the holographic traps. The frequency war. We are in a war, but it is not a war for territories or physical resources. It is a war for your frequency. They bombard you with news, dissonant music, poisoned food, and financial stress to keep your vibration low, fear, survival. In low vibration, you are dense. You are trapped in the farm's gravity. If you raise your vibration, love, gratitude, laughter, creativity, you become less dense. You become gaseous or ethereal. And the farm fences are designed to stop solids, not gases. If you raise your frequency enough, you simply pass through the walls. You leave their dimension. You cease to be perceptible to them. Genuine joy is the most potent demon repellent that exists. They cannot touch someone who is truly laughing. Laughter breaks fear. Laughter destroys the personal importance of the ego, which is their implant. Laugh at the system. Laugh at the absurdity of the loop. That laughter is the sound of your chains breaking. Weichunke, practice, the mirror sphere shield. To survive on the farm while you plan your escape, you need protection. You cannot go with an open aura. Exercise. Every morning before getting out of bed and looking at your phone, which is an access window for them. 1. Visualize a sphere of golden light in your center, heart. Expand it until it surrounds your body at a distance of 2 meters. 3. Now cover the outer surface of that sphere with mirrors. The mirrors look outward. 4. Decree. Nothing that is not love can enter. Everything sent with bad intention bounces back instantly to its source. Visualize how the energetic hooks of other people or entities slide off the mirror. They have nowhere to grab. During the day, if someone tries to drain you, an emotional vampire, visualize the mirror. Do not absorb their poison. Let it be reflected and return to them. You will see how they move away quickly, because they cannot stand their own reflected energy. Chapter 3. The Automatic Mind, the Pilot of the Loop. Gurdjieff said that man is a machine, that he has no independent movements nor independent thoughts. Everything he does, says, thinks, and feels, happens. He does not do it. It happens through him. You wake up in the morning and believe you decide to get up. You believe you decide to drink coffee. You believe you decide to get angry with traffic. It is an illusion. Your brain is a biocomputer designed to save energy, and the most efficient way to save energy is to become a zombie. You have delegated your existence to a subconscious that recorded its instructions when you were 7 years old. You are not the pilot of your life. You are a passenger tied in the back seat, screaming orders at a steering wheel that moves on its own. Today, we are going to break down the cockpit door and take manual control. The most terrifying statistic of modern neuroscience is this: 95% of your brain activity is unconscious and automatic. Only 5% is awakened consciousness and will, prefrontal cortex. This means that of a 24-hour day, you, the real self, are only present for about 72 minutes. The rest of the time, the body is on autopilot. Have you ever driven to your house and, upon arriving, realized that you don't remember the journey? You braked at traffic lights, you changed gears, you turned the steering wheel, but you weren't there. Your mind was wandering in the past or the future, and a zombie program, the basal ganglia, was driving the car. That phenomenon doesn't only happen while driving, it happens while living. You argue with your partner on autopilot, saying the same hurtful phrases. You work on autopilot. You make love on autopilot. You feel anxiety on autopilot. The loop does not need to strive to keep you trapped. It simply relies on your biological laziness. It knows that, by default, your brain will choose the most traveled neural path, the habit. And the most traveled path is the loop. To get out, you have to be willing to spend energy. You have to be willing to be awake when your whole system asks you to sleep. The tyranny of energy saving. Evolution is to blame. For millions of years, the brain's priority was to survive, not to become enlightened. Thinking consumes a lot of glucose and oxygen. Consciousness is metabolically expensive. Habit is cheap. That is why, as soon as you learn to do something, walk, talk, suffer, the brain delegates it to the subconscious. It turns it into a script, into a closed algorithm. Once the script is installed, the brain stops paying attention. Problem solved, let's move on to something else. The problem is that you have automated your unhappiness. You have repeated the reaction of feeling like a victim or feeling poor so many times. Your brain has turned it into a standard procedure, just like tying your shoes. You no longer decide to feel bad. A stimulus simply occurs. Someone looks at you the wrong way, and the program executes the response, feeling like trash, in milliseconds, before your conscious part can intervene. You are a stimulus response machine. The initiate's job is to hack the automation. It is to force the brain to spend energy to create new paths, even if the brain kicks and screams asking to go back to the old and easy way. 2. The subconscious, the unfiltered recorder. Imagine that your subconscious mind is a giant magnetic tape recorder that is always in rex and record and play mode, but never in pause. The worst thing is that this recorder has no sense of humor or capacity for logical analysis. It believes everything. If you say in jest, "I am a mess, I always lose everything," your subconscious does not laugh. It records, "Command received. The subject is a mess and must lose things. Executing loss program." And then, mysteriously, you lose your keys. The loop feeds on this linguistic programming. During your childhood, from 0 to 7 years old, your brain was in theta waves, hypnosis. You had no filters. Everything your parents, your teachers, and the television said went straight into the hard drive. Money is dirty. Life is hard. Don't trust anyone. Those files are the operating system of the loop. Today, as an adult, you believe you are making free decisions about your money or your relationships. Lie. You are executing your parents' software. You are living their life, not yours. Until you go into the source code and delete those Trojan files, the loop will regenerate itself, no matter how much positive thinking you try to apply with your conscious 5%. Thirdly, the chemical addiction to being yourself. This is where science validates gnosis. Joe Dispenza explains it masterfully. Every thought produces a chemical reaction in the brain. Thought of fear, brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. Thought of victimhood, brain releases sadness, neuropeptides. Your body over time develops cellular receptors for those chemicals. Literally, you become a junkie of your own emotions. Your cells become addicted to cortisol. They become addicted to anguish. The loop is maintained not only by mental habit, but by physical withdrawal syndrome. If one day you try to be happy and calm, get out of the loop. Your cells notice that there is no cortisol in the blood. They panic. "Hey, where is my drug? Where is my daily dose of suffering?" Then the body sends a signal to the brain through the vagus nerve. "Create a negative thought now. I need my dose." And your brain obeys. It starts looking for reasons to worry. What if I get fired? What if I get sick? Boom, cortisol release. The cells calm down. You feel bad, but you feel like yourself. Going back to the loop feels right because it satisfies the chemical addiction. Leaving the loop feels wrong, uncomfortable, and terrifying because it is a detox. Understanding this is key. Your body is the enemy at first. You have to tame the biological junkie. Type E, the illusion of free will. Benjamin Libet, a physiologist from the 80s, performed a famous experiment. He connected electrodes to the brains of volunteers and asked them to move a finger whenever they wanted. He discovered something that horrified philosophers. The brain prepared the movement half a second before the person was aware of their decision. That is, your brain decides and half a second later you think, "I have decided." You live in a lag. Your conscious self is in many cases just a public relations person who justifies decisions that the subconscious already made. The loop operates in that half second of darkness. Before you know you're going to scream, the scream is already loaded in your throat. Does this mean there is no way out? No. Libet also discovered free won't, the free no. Although the impulse is born automatic, consciousness has a window of time, about 200 milliseconds, to veto the action. You cannot prevent the bird from flying over your head, automatic impulse, but you can prevent it from making a nest, conscious action. Your power is not in initiating, but in interrupting. Your power is the handbrake. Awakening consists of widening that 200 millisecond window into a space of freedom. V, the reticular activating system, the filter. Your brain receives millions of bits of information per second. If you processed them all, your head would explode. To protect you, you have a nightclub bouncer, the RAS, reticular activating system. The RAS filters reality and only lets through what matches your beliefs. If you believe the world is dangerous, loop belief, the RAS will scan the environment and only let through news of robberies, faces of angry people, and risks. It will ignore smiles, opportunities, and beauty. Literally, you cannot see the exit, even if it is in front of your nose. You are biologically blind to freedom. You are blind because your filter is set to prison. To get out of the loop, you have to hack the bouncer. You have to give him new search orders. If you start to obsess with gratitude and opportunity, the RAS will start, slowly at first, to let new information through. Suddenly you will see a sign you've passed for 10 years. You will see an obvious solution. It is not magic, it's that you've cleaned your glasses. Thulse, the narrative of the I, default mode network. When you are not doing anything specific, your brain enters the default mode network. It is that voice that begins to wander. I should have said this. Tomorrow I have to do that. How fat I am. That voice is the architect of the loop. That voice is constantly weaving the story of your I ego to maintain coherence. I am a victim. No one understands me. That narrative is the glue that holds your repetitive reality together. The loop needs you to take that voice seriously. It needs you to believe that voice is you. The technique to deactivate this is called metacognition, thinking about thought, realizing that you are the listener, not the speaker. If you can hear the voice in your head, who is the one listening? That listener is the being. The voice is the machine. The moment you dissociate from the voice and say, "Wow, my automatic mind is very negative today," you have left the loop momentarily. You have stopped being the character and become the audience. The machine loses power when you observe it without identifying with it. 7. The amygdala hijack. The loop has an emergency defense mechanism. When you try to change, when you try to be brave, the reptilian brain activates the amygdala. It is the fear center. It launches a fight or flight signal. Your heart speeds up. Your hands sweat. You feel terror. The message is, go back to the comfort zone, danger. It is a false positive. There is no lion chasing you. You are just trying to leave a job you hate. But for the reptilian brain, uncertainty equals death. The initiate learns to feel the fear and do it anyway. He understands that this biological fear is just the prison alarm sounding because a prisoner is escaping. It is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are on the right track. If you don't feel fear, you are not leaving the loop. You are just decorating it. Fear is the compass. Where the fear is, the exit is. Fate, inertia and momentum. Newton's physics applies to the mind. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. Your loop has inertia. It has been rolling for years. It has a gigantic mass. You cannot stop a freight train with a finger in one day. Many get frustrated because they try to change, and on the third day they relapse. I have no willpower, they say. No, it is physics. The inertia of the old program is superior to the strength of your new incipient desire. To overcome inertia, you need accumulation of strength. You need to apply a contrary force, new habit, consistently for long enough until the train stops. Until the train stops and starts moving in the other direction. At first, the effort is maximum, and the result is zero. You are braking the train. Then, the train stops. 0 point. Then, it starts moving slowly toward freedom. And finally, inertia works in your favor. The new habit becomes automatic. Strategic patience is your weapon. Do not judge yourself for not changing in 24 hours. Judge whether you are applying the brakes. Nice. The virus of consciousness, pattern interruption. How do we hack the machine? With pattern interruptions. The loop is a script, A, B, C, stimulus, scream, emotion, anger, reaction, scream. You have to break the chain in the middle. You have to introduce a 404 error. When you feel the automatic program starting, e.g., you are going to get angry, do something physical and absurd. Clap loudly. Shout a meaningless word. Pineapple. Drop to the floor. Take a deep breath and hold it until you can't anymore. Anything that takes the brain out of its usual track. It is like scratching a vinyl record. The needle jumps. The brain goes blank for a second. What is happening? In that second of silence, you have control. There you can insert the new command, I choose peace. You have to be a terrorist against your own routine. Practice Gurdjieff's stop exercise. This is a classic technique of the fourth way to wake up the machine. Instructions. Set random alarms on your mobile during the day, or ask a friend to send you a random message that says stop. At the precise moment the alarm sounds, or you read the message, freeze, literally. Do not move a muscle. Stay in the exact posture you were in. With your mouth open, with the fork halfway, walking with one foot in the air, stop the body. And while the body is frozen, observe. What was I thinking? Catch the thought red-handed. What was I feeling? Locate the emotion. How is my posture? Tense, relaxed. Hold the stop for 1 minute. You will see that your automatic mind was in a very different place than reality. You will see the mechanical nature of your existence. Upon unfreezing, do not resume activity automatically. Do it now with mindfulness. This exercise creates gaps of consciousness in the wall of the dream. If you do this 5 times a day, you begin to dismantle the autopilot. Chapter 4. Amnesia, the River of Forgetfulness. Plato, at the end of the Republic, narrates the myth of air. He describes how souls, before reincarnating, must cross a desert plain and drink from the waters of the river Lethe, forgetfulness. Those who drink too much to quench their burning thirst forget everything, who they were, where they came from, and what they had learned. They fall to earth like shooting stars asleep, entering the bodies of babies, crying without knowing why. You have drunk from that water. We all have. Your current life is the result of an induced traumatic amnesia. You are a king who hit his head and now believes he is a beggar. The system depends on your ignorance. If you remembered, the game would end. Today we are going to look for the antidote to the poison of forgetfulness. Imagine a prisoner who has been planning an escape for 30 years. He studies the blueprints, steals tools, digs a tunnel. He is about to get out. But the night before the escape, the guards enter his cell. They drug him, hit him on the head, and move him to another identical cell. When he wakes up, he remembers nothing. He doesn't remember the tunnel. He doesn't remember the blueprints. He doesn't even remember that he wanted to escape. He thinks he has just arrived, and he begins the process of adapting to the cell from scratch. He puts posters on the wall. He makes friends with other prisoners. He settles in. 30 years later, he has the intuition to escape again, and the cycle repeats. This is what has happened to you, life after life. Amnesia is the highest wall of the prison. It doesn't matter how much you advance spiritually in one life. If upon dying and being reborn they give you a factory reset, you lose conscious progress. You return to level 1 of the video game, even if you have already played 1,000 times. The loop perpetuates itself thanks to your lack of continuity. Without memory, there is no strategy. Without strategy, there is no way out. By the veil of Isis and the factory reset. In occultism, this is called the veil of Isis. No mortal has lifted my veil. It means that consciousness, when descending into dense matter, 3D, must pass through a filter that compresses its frequency. It is like trying to fit the entire internet onto a 90s floppy disk. It doesn't fit. The immensity of your multidimensional self is trimmed down to fit into the small biological brain of a fetus. The information is not lost. It remains in the cloud Akasha, but access is cut off. But there is something more sinister than simple biological limitation. There is an intentional erasure. Researchers of reincarnation and near-death experiences, NDEs, often report that souls are invited to return to Earth to learn lessons or pay karma, but for the test to be valid, they are told they must forget the answers. If you remember you are God, the human experience has no point, say the guides, Archons in disguise. It is a logical trap. How are you going to learn a lesson if you don't remember the previous exam? If you fail math and they erase your memory, you will fail math eternally. Memory erasure is not pedagogical, it is enslaving. It ensures you make the same mistakes over and over, generating the same louche. To the thirst of desires, why we drink. Let's return to Plato's myth. Why do souls drink from the river Lethe? Because of thirst. The plane of forgetfulness is arid. It is hot. The soul is tired. That thirst is the desire for material experience. It is attachment. If upon dying, you still have strong desires, thirst for sex, money, revenge, being someone, that thirst will push you magnetically toward a new body. And to enter that body, you will agree to drink the water of forgetfulness. The entry price to the material amusement park is your spiritual memory. The more attached you are to the world, the more thirst, the more you drink and the more deeply you forget. The initiates or bodhisattvas are those who drink only what is strictly necessary to survive. preserving a spark of memory. They are born and feel that they are not from here. They have the nostalgia for the infinite. That discomfort you feel with the normal world is your residual memory screaming. It is proof that you did not drink the whole cup. 30. State-dependent memory. Science explains this as state-dependent memory. If you learn something while drunk, you often only remember it when you are drunk again. Your higher self vibrates at a very high frequency. Your human self vibrates at a low frequency. They are two incompatible states of consciousness. It is like trying to tune an FM station on an AM radio. That is why you don't remember. The work of leaving the loop is not forcing the brain to remember data, past life names, but raising the frequency of the brain so it can tune into the station of the soul. When you raise your vibration, through meditation, breathing, fasting, or entheogens, the veil thins. You have flashes, downloads. Suddenly, you know something you never studied. That is memory returning because you have matched the frequency. 5e, the looting of the soul, fragmentation. There is another reason why you have amnesia, and this occurs during your current life. Shamanism calls it soul loss. Every time you suffer a strong trauma, a part of your vital energy freezes at that moment in time to survive the pain. It separates from you. A part of you stayed in that dark room when you were 5 years old. Say a part of you stayed with that first love who broke your heart. A part of you stayed in that accident. You go through life being like Swiss cheese. You are full of holes. You lack energy. You lack memory. You don't remember large blocks of your childhood. It's not that your brain failed, it's that you weren't there. That part of your soul fled and remains trapped in the loop of that trauma, repeating the event eternally in the subconscious. By not having that energy with you, here and now, you don't have enough power to wake up. You are operating on 40% battery. The rest is scattered in the past. To leave the loop, you need to retrieve your fragments. Recapitulation, the master technique. Here I give you the most powerful tool to overcome amnesia and recover your energy. It comes from the Toltec lineage, Don Juan Matus, Carlos Castaneda, but has equivalents in all Hermetic traditions. It is called recapitulation. The premise is, your energy is trapped in your past interactions. You left fibers of light in every person you met, in every place you visited, and in every trauma you suffered. And at the same time, they left dark and heavy fibers inside you. You are entangled. Recapitulation is the act of gathering your fibers and returning those of others. It is clearing the soul's browser history. When you recapitulate your life, you do two things. 1. You recover energy. You become stronger, brighter, more whole. 2. You erase personal history. By removing the emotional charge from the past stops affecting you. The loop breaks because it no longer has hooks to hold on to. You become untraceable for karma. How to recapitulate the protocol. This is not just remembering, it is a respiratory and energetic act. The list. Make a list of all the people you have known in your life. Start from today backward to your childhood. Partners, bosses, friends, abusers, teachers. It is a work of months. The setting. Sit in a quiet place, dark if possible. The visualization. Choose a person from the list. Visualize a specific scene with them where there was strong emotion, sex, fight, fear, love. The sweep, the magical breath. Imagine you have a fan on your head. Turn your head to the right shoulder. While slowly turning your head to the left shoulder, inhale deeply through your nose. Intention. As you inhale, imagine you are vacuuming up your energy that you left in that scene. You bring it back to your body. When the head reaches the left shoulder, pause for a second. Now turn your head back to the right while you exhale through your mouth or nose. Intention. As you exhale, imagine you are expelling the foreign energy, their manipulation, their fear, their smell, that stayed inside you. You return it to them. Repetition. Do this several times until you feel the scene becomes flat. Like an old photo that no longer triggers anything in you. Cut. Finish with a head movement to the center, cutting the cord. If you do this rigorously, you will recover 100% of your energy. You will stop feeling obsessed with exes. You will stop feeling pain for abuses. You will become a whole warrior. And most importantly, Upon dying, you will not have thirst or debts that force you to return, because you will have already processed everything. 7. The Life Review, anticipated final judgment. It is said that upon dying, you see your life pass before your eyes. The system uses that life review to generate guilt and force you to reincarnate. Look how much pain you caused here. You must return to fix it. The initiate's trick is, do the life review before dying. Recapitulation is the life review. If you have already reviewed, judged, forgiven, and cleaned your life while you were alive, when you die and the Archons try to play the movie for you, you will say, I've already seen that movie. I already processed it. It doesn't affect me. I have no guilt. I am free. You take away their primary weapon. You reach death without baggage. You arrive light as a feather, as Mart requested in Egypt. Fate, future memory, teleology. Amnesia doesn't just affect the past. It affects purpose. You have forgotten what you came here for. You didn't come to pay bills and die. You came with a mission, a unique source code that only you can execute. The loop keeps you distracted with survival so that you never activate that code. When you start to recapitulate and clean the noise, the memory of purpose emerges. It is not a memory of yesterday, it is a memory of tomorrow. You feel a magnetic attraction towards something. I have to write that book. I have to heal others. I have to build this. That is not your idea, it is the signal of your higher self. It is the signal piercing the veil. Follow it. That signal is Ariadne's thread to get out of the labyrinth. The loop is circular. Purpose is linear, spiral. If you follow purpose, you break the circle. Society, strategic confusion, weapons of distraction. The system knows that if you have silence, you remember. That is why the world is so noisy. Elevator music, mobile notifications, 24/7 news, neon signs. It is a war against silence. It is a strategy of confusion and saturation. They keep your RAM, brain, so full of junk data that there is no room left to load the soul's files. To remember, you have to do an information fast. Turn off the television, get off social media for a week. At first, you will feel anxiety, the loop's withdrawal syndrome. But then, in the silence, you will begin to hear a very ancient voice. You will begin to remember strange things, lucid dreams, intuitions. Your deep memory will emerge like a submarine rising to the surface. Tics, déjà vu and glitches in the matrix. When your memory begins to fight against the programming, déjà vu occur. Science says it is a neural glitch. Metaphysics says it is a placeholder. It means you have already been here. This is a loop. You are repeating the scene. When you have a déjà vu, do not ignore it. Stop. Look around. Ask yourself, if I already lived this, what did I do last time, and what can I do differently now? Use the déjà vu as a warning signal to change the script. It is the moment when the veil is thinnest. Kes, the shock of awakening, the dark night. Recovering memory is not pleasant at first. It is traumatic. Realizing that you have been in a prison for entire lifetimes hurts. Realizing that your loved ones are actors in a repetitive drama hurts. Realizing that you have wasted years on nonsense hurts. This triggers the dark night of the soul, a deep and existential depression. Nothing makes sense. Everything is false. Congratulations, you are remembering. That void you feel is the destruction of false illusions. Do not run to the doctor for medication to put you back to sleep. Endure the pain. Cross the desert. On the other side of that desperation is sovereignty. Her painful truth is better than a comfortable lie. Charity practice rescuing the child. We are going to do a micro-recapitulation right now to rescue a soul fragment. 1. Close your eyes. 2. Travel to the past. Look for the earliest moment you remember where you felt fear, shame, or loneliness. Perhaps you were 6 years old, at school, or in your room. 3. Visualize the scene. Look at that boy, girl. Look at their posture. They are frozen in time. 4. Enter the scene with your current adult body. 5. Stand in front of the child. Say, I have come to look for you. I am you from the future. We have survived. You are strong. You no longer have to stay here alone. 6. Hug the child. 7. As you hug them, visualize the child dissolving. Visualize the child dissolving into pure light and entering your heart. 8. Inhale deeply, absorbing that light. Feel yourself becoming complete. 9. Open your eyes. You have just hacked time. You have taken energy from the past and brought it to the present. That child is no longer trapped in the loop, he is with you. Chapter 5. The Fractal Ego, Masks and Characters. You look in the mirror in the morning. You see a familiar face. You say, "That is me." You are wrong. You are looking at a stranger. You are looking at an avatar, a construct of biological software programmed by your parents, your culture, and your traumas to navigate the matrix. The ancient Greeks called identity persona, which literally means mask, the ones used by actors in the theater to amplify their voices. You are not the mask. You are the actor behind it, suffocated, forgotten in the darkness of the stage, while the mask has taken control of the show and believes she is real. The loop does not catch you, the infinite being. The loop catches the mask. And as long as you believe you are the mask, you are condemned to repeat its tragic script forever. Today we are going to take off your face. The biggest scam in human history is the creation of the ego. I don't mean ego as vanity or arrogance. I mean the ego as the structure of identity. The voice in your head that says, "I am Juan." That is not you. That is a data file. It is a character sheet from a role-playing game, RPG. When you entered this simulation, incarnation, you were assigned, or chose, an avatar. The system told you, to interact on 3D Earth, you need an interface. Here is this body and this basic personality. The problem is you forgot you were the player. You forgot you were the player holding the controller. You started to believe you were the puppet on the screen. And the puppet has rules. The puppet has limitations. The puppet has a pre-written script. The player is free. The puppet is a slave to the code. The loop of repetition adheres to the ego like a parasite to a host today in your life. The loop cannot catch the spirit, which is immaterial and timeless. But the loop is an expert at catching identities. The stressed accountant is an easy loop to program. The woman who always chooses bad men is an easy loop. To leave the prison, you must realize that the cell is built to the measure of your ego now in your world. If you take off the ego, you become so small and undefined that you can slip through the bars. I, the Legion, you are not one, you are many. Modern psychology and ancient esotericism agree. The unity of the I is an illusion. Gurdjieff used to say, "Man has no permanent and immutable I. Man is a legion. He has hundreds of small I's that take control in turns. Observe your day. At 8 a.m., you are the responsible worker I. At 2 p.m., you are hungry and control is taken. The gluttonous animal I takes control. At 6 p.m., your mother calls, and you become the submissive child I. At 10 p.m., you go out to party, and you are the seductive I. Which of all these is the real you? None. They are personality fractals. They are subroutines that activate depending on the environmental context in your life right now. The loop works because it always activates these subroutines in the same order. Whenever the phone rings, and it's your mother, the child I takes command and repeats the same emotional patterns from 20 years ago. You have no continuity. One I decides to start a diet on Monday morning, but by Tuesday afternoon that I is gone. The anxious I has entered, knowing nothing of diets and only wanting chocolate. The anxious I eats the chocolate, and then the critical I returns and punishes you for having eaten. It is a madhouse where no one is in charge. Leaving the loop requires integration. It requires the lead actor to fire the incompetent secondary actors now. 2. The ego as the loop's defense system. Here is the cruelest trap. The ego is designed to defend the loop. Your identity is based on your story, and your story is made of your traumas and repetitions. If you take away the story of being a victim from a person who has based their whole life on being a victim, what remains? A terrifying void remains right now today in your life. That is why when you offer a solution to someone who always complains, they get angry with you. You just don't understand. My case is special. It's very difficult. They are not defending their pain. They are defending their identity. Their ego screams, "If I stop suffering, I stop being me. Who am I if I am not the woman who suffers?" The ego prefers to be unhappy and exist, rather than to be happy and dissolve. The loop is the structure that validates the ego. The Archon, the farmer, knows this. That is why, when you try to awaken, the Archon attacks your personal importance. It makes you feel that your suffering is epic, important, and unique today in your world. It gives you a martyr narrative. No one has suffered what I have. I am a lone warrior against the world. That narrative is pure concrete for your feet. It anchors you to the bottom of the river. To get out, you have to renounce the importance of your story. You have to admit that your drama is not special. It is a generic script now. It is an old, boring, and repetitive script that millions of people are executing just like you. That radical humility breaks the hypnosis. Third, the foreign parasite, the installation. We return to Castaneda. The shamans of ancient Mexico said that the ego is not human. It is the mind of the flyer. It is a foreign installation. Analyze how the ego works. It is fearful. It is predatory. It is competitive. It always compares itself. It always feels that there is not enough. It is always on the defensive today in your life. Those are not qualities of the human soul, which is collaborative and creative. They are qualities of a parasitic organism that fears death. The ego is the computer virus that the Archons installed on your hardware to control you by remote control. Every time you have a thought of attack, envy, or self-destruction, it is not you. It is not you thinking. It is the installation operating. The loop is the natural environment of the installation. If you leave the loop, if you enter love and freedom, the installation burns. It cannot survive in high frequencies. That is why the ego boycotts you when you are about to succeed or be happy right now today in your world. You don't deserve it. Something bad is going to happen. It is the parasite pulling the handbrake because if you accelerate toward the light, he dies. Face the trauma as the foundation of identity. Most people build their castle, identity, on the swamp of their childhood traumas. I am shy because they laughed at me at 6 years old. I am aggressive because I had to defend myself from my father. Those labels are scars that have become personality. The loop uses these labels as code restrictions today in your life now. If your code says, function shy person, then the loop will never allow you to have public success. Every time you try to speak in public, the program will execute error, anxiety, attack. You cannot overcome anxiety with public speaking techniques. You have to rewrite the identity label. You have to go to the source code now in your world. You have to delete the line that says, I am shy. You have to realize that shy is not what you are. It is a behavior you learned to survive in a past hostile environment. The environment changed. The behavior is no longer useful. It is obsolete. Uninstall it. By doing so, you free the processor for new, more efficient functions today. The social mask, the persona. Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we use to interact with society. It is necessary. You cannot go around the street emotionally naked. The problem is, when the mask gets stuck to your skin, you get home and continue acting as the boss or the model employee. You go to sleep still worried about the image of the mask today in your life. The social loop is based on the maintenance of these masks. What will the neighbors say? I have to look successful. This external pressure is an electric fence. It prevents you from making weird moves, black swans, that would take you out of the loop because you are afraid of breaking the coherence of your character right now today. A serious lawyer cannot leave everything to paint pictures. Who says so? The mask script. The actor can do whatever he wants. The initiate practices strategic incoherence. On purpose, he does things that do not fit his mask to remind himself and others that he is not the mask. If you are very serious, dress ridiculously one day now. If you are very kind, say a sharp no one day, break the expectation, free yourself from the tyranny of reputation. Fancy controlled folly, the spy in the Matrix. Don Juan Matus taught Castaneda the art of controlled folly. It is the ultimate technique for living inside the loop without being touched by it. It means acting as if the game were real, knowing that it is not. The common man, asleep, acts believing the game is real. He suffers, cries, and kills himself for a promotion right now today. The madman, psychotic, realizes it is not real and disconnects, stops functioning. The sorcerer, awake, knows it is not real, but plays better than anyone. He goes to work, pays his taxes, greets the neighbors, laughs at the jokes. But inside, he is laughing. He has no attachment. He knows it is a role today in your world now. If he wins the promotion, good. If he is fired, good. His inner peace does not depend on the outcome of the game. This attitude makes you invulnerable. The Archons cannot eat someone who practices controlled folly because they generate no friction. He flows with the drama without absorbing the drama now in your life right now today. He is a spy infiltrated in the matrix. He looks like a normal citizen, but his loyalty is with the spirit, not with the system. Serpent, the death of the ego, the great fear. To leave the loop, you have to be willing to die. Not physically. You have to be willing to undergo psychological death. The dark night of the soul is the process of demolishing the ego. Everything you thought you were, your job, your partner, your health, your beliefs, collapses. The universe takes away the toys right now, today, now. You are left naked in the void. You feel like you are going crazy or that you are going to disappear. That is the critical moment. The ego screams at you, go back, grab onto something, suffer, but don't disappear. The initiate says, thy will be done. I surrender. Let what must die, die. And when you surrender, you discover today now. You discover that you were not what died. You are what remains after everything false has been burned. You are the indestructible observer. Once you have passed through this death, the loop no longer has power over you. How are you going to threaten a man who has already died? You are free. Fate, the witness, Sakshi. In Hinduism, they speak of the Sakshi, the witness. It is that part of your consciousness that is behind your eyes. It is not the mind that thinks. It is the consciousness that realizes the mind is thinking. Do the test now. Say your name in your head. Who heard that name? That is the witness today in your life, right now, today. The witness is outside the loop. The witness has no age, no form, no history. It is pure light of consciousness. The loop occurs on the screen of the mind. The witness is the spectator in the seat. Your job is to move your identity from the screen to the seat. The more time you spend identified with the witness, the weaker the loop now. The loop needs your identification to feed. If you withdraw your eye, it starves to death. Negative thoughts keep passing by, but you see them as clouds. You don't climb onto them. Oh, look, a cloud of anger is passing by. Interesting. And the cloud passes before you climbed onto the cloud and created a 3-day storm today now. Try shadow work integrating the monster. The ego is not only what you believe you are, it is also what you deny being. Your shadow. Jung said, what you deny submits you. What you accept transforms you. If you define yourself as a good and peaceful person, you have repressed your aggressiveness and your malice into the shadow today in your world right now, today, now. The loop will use that shadow against you. You will project that aggressiveness outward. You will attract violent people who will attack you. The loop will hit you with your own shadow. To get out, you have to eat your shadow. You have to recognize that you are capable of anything. You are capable of killing, stealing, betraying now. The initiate accepts his monster. He integrates it. Yes, I am dangerous, but I choose to be peaceful, under control. That is very different from being harmless. A harmless person is a victim waiting to happen. A dangerous person who controls himself is a master. When you integrate your shadow, the loop stops surprising you. Practice, the it is not me exercise. You are going to practice radical disidentification, neti in Sanskrit. It is an active meditation of dissolution. Instructions. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Start observing the layers of your being and discard them one by one. Body. Feel your body. Say, I have a body, but I am not this body right now, today. The body changes, ages and dies. I remain. I am not this. Emotions. Observe your mood. Say, I have emotions, but I am not these emotions. They come and go like the weather. I am the sky that contains them. I am not this. Thoughts. Observe the mental flow. Say, I have thoughts, but I am not these thoughts now. I can observe them, therefore I am not them. I am not this. History. Think of your name, your profession, your past. Say, this is my story, the script of my character, but I am the actor. I am not the character. Stay in the void that remains, that vibrant silence, that nothingness full of everything. That is you today now. Chapter 6. Trauma as an anchor, the glue of the loop. They say time heals everything. It is the biggest lie ever told. Time heals nothing. Time makes the infection chronic. If you break a leg and don't heal it, time will only make it set poorly and leave you lame forever. The loop is not just a repetition of external events, it is a repetition of internal states. And the anchor that keeps that internal state fixed, immovable, heavy as lead, is trauma. I'm not referring only to great traumas of war or abuse. I mean micro-traumas, rejection at recess, a parent's criticism, a friend's betrayal. Those events generated a load of energy that was never discharged. It stayed frozen in your tissues. And as long as that energy is there, you are a ship with the engine at full power, but with the anchor cast at the bottom of the sea. You make a lot of noise, you waste a lot of gas, but you don't move an inch. Today we are going to cut the chain. Imagine the loop as a circular racetrack. You are the car. Trauma is a deep pothole, full of mud, in a specific curve of the track. Every time you pass through there, the wheel gets stuck. The engine roars, the wheels spin, mud splashes. You manage to get out with great effort, take one more lap, and fall back into the same pothole. You ask yourself, why does this always happen to me? It happens to you because the pothole is there and you haven't filled it. Trauma is a point of massive gravity. It bends space-time around it. It doesn't matter how much you try to think positive or manifest wealth. If you have a trauma of scarcity or unworthiness in your field, the gravity of that black hole will swallow all your light. The system, the matrix, loves your traumas. They are the hooks where the Archons can hang their strings to manipulate you. A person without traumas is smooth, slippery. There is nowhere to grab them. A traumatized person is rough, full of cracks and red buttons. If they want you to feel fear, they just press the childhood abandonment button. If they want you to consume, they press the insufficiency button. Healing trauma is not an act of emotional well-being. It is a tactic of spiritual counterintelligence. It is disarming the detonators that the enemy installed at your base. The repetition compulsion, Freud was right. Sigmund Freud discovered something disturbing. The repetition compulsion. He observed that soldiers returning from war dreamed over and over about the moment of their trauma. But the strangest thing is that normal people did the same in their waking life. If a woman had an alcoholic and distant father, her conscious logic tells her something. It tells her, look for a sober and affectionate man. But her repetition compulsion, her loop, leads her, like a zombie, to fall in love with an alcoholic and distant man. Why? Is she a masochist? No, it is a failed attempt at redemption. The subconscious thinks, the first time with my father I lost, I was a victim, I couldn't change it. I'm going to recreate the same scene with the same actors, but this time I'm going to win. This time I'm going to make him love me. It is a death trap. You are hiring actors to perform a play whose ending is already written. You cannot change the ending by repeating the beginning. The alcoholic man is not going to change, just as your father didn't change. And you become the wounded girl again, re-traumatizing yourself and confirming the loop's belief. I am not worthy of love. Trauma acts as a mold. You pour new energy, a new relationship, a new job, into the old mold. And logically, the energy takes the shape of the old mold. To leave the loop, you have to break the mold. You have to accept the original defeat. I couldn't save my father. I couldn't make him love me, and that has nothing to do with my value. I accept the pain, mourn the loss, and stop looking for replacements. The physics of trauma, frozen energy. Peter Levine, in his work on somatic experiencing, observed animals. A gazelle is chased by a lion, it suffers mortal terror. It manages to escape. What does the gazelle do immediately after? It shakes. It shakes its body violently for a few minutes. It is discharging the kinetic energy of fight or flight that built up in its system. Once it shakes, the gazelle returns to grazing calmly. It doesn't have post-traumatic stress. It doesn't have nightmares about the lion. It has reset the system. The human being doesn't do that. We have a neocortex, ego, that inhibits the discharge. When the boss yells at us, lion, we want to kill him or flee, charged energy. But we stay still and smile. Yes, sir. Where does that energy go? It doesn't disappear, it freezes. It stays trapped in the fascia, in the muscles, in the psoas, in the stomach. That trapped energy is the trauma. It is a cyst of frozen time. Inside that cyst, you are always 5 years old and you are scared. The loop feeds on these cysts. They are batteries of loosh that constantly leak chronic anxiety and depression. To leave the loop, it's not enough to understand trauma intellectually. Talk therapy. You have to unfreeze the energy. You have to allow the body to shake, cry, scream, or kick. You have to complete the biological cycle that you interrupted 20 years ago. Thirdly, the body keeps the score. Bessel van der Kolk wrote the Bible of trauma. The body keeps the score. Your mind can lie. Your mind can say, I already got over my ex. But your body doesn't lie. If every time you hear their name, your stomach tightens, you haven't gotten over it. The body is still in the loop. The body is the physical anchor. The loop resides in your cellular biology. Your cells have adapted to living in war mode or scarcity mode. If you try to relax, leave the loop, your body feels insecure. Why are we so calm? We should be on alert. Something bad is going to happen. And the body generates a symptom to force you back to the known alert state. The initiate has to learn to talk to their body. They cannot impose peace by force. They have to seduce the body towards safety. Calm down, body. It's over. The lion left 20 years ago. Now we are safe. You can let go of the armor. It is a slow work of re-educating the nervous system. Breathing, yoga, massages, TRE, trauma release exercises. You have to take the loop out of your muscles to take it out of your life. EV, the victim identity, the toxic refuge. Here we enter dangerous ground. Trauma has a dark secondary benefit. It gives you an identity. You become the victim, and the victim has privileges in the matrix. 1. Moral innocence. I am good, they are bad. I suffer, therefore I am right. 2. Attention. Poor thing, look what happened to him. 3. Exemption from responsibility. I can't succeed because I am traumatized. It's not my fault. The ego falls in love with the trauma. It polishes it, shines it, and shows it to everyone as a war trophy. It builds an altar to pain. If someone tries to take away the trauma, heal it, the victim attacks. Don't take away my excuse. If I heal, I'll have to go out into the world and compete without a net. The loop loves victims. They are its permanent residents. To leave, you have to renounce the privileges of the victim. You have to be willing to be sovereign. The sovereign doesn't blame, the sovereign assumes. Yes, they hurt me, it was unfair. But my healing is my responsibility, not that of the one who hurt me. Ceasing to wait for an apology that will never come is the first step to lifting the anchor. V, the resonance magnet, inverted law of attraction. The law of attraction works always, not just for the good. It works by resonance. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, what you vibrate. If you vibrate in betrayal trauma, you are a radio antenna, emitting the signal. Betrayers wanted, vacancy open to betray me. And the universe, which is obedient and mathematical, sends you the perfect betrayer. It is not a punishment from God. It is physics. It is the loop responding to your signal. Trauma is a perception filter. If you have abandonment trauma, you will see abandonment where there is none. Your partner arrives late because there was traffic, and you interpret, I don't matter anymore, they're going to leave me. You react with drama, accuse, cry, and your partner, tired of your unfounded accusations, leaves you. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Your trauma created the reality it feared. The anchor doesn't just stop you. The anchor attracts the storm. To change your external reality, you have to change the signal of the antenna. You have to heal the emitter. Zeus, the Archons and the harvest of pain. Returning to Chapter 2. Trauma is an all-you-can-eat banquet for the Archons. An unresolved trauma is like an open wound that continually oozes loosh. Sometimes these entities don't wait for you to remember the trauma. They poke the wound. They send you a nightmare dream about the event. Or they send you a sudden intrusive thought. Do you remember what your uncle did to you? They do it just when you are happy. The goal is to drop your vibrations suddenly. It is an emotional hijacking. If you have an open wound, they have the remote control of your mood. Closing the wound is a matter of spiritual security. You cannot be free if you have buttons that anyone can press. Healing makes you invulnerable. They can no longer use your past against you because your past no longer has an electrical charge. It is just a neutral datum. 7. The alchemy of pain, spiritual kintsugi. In Japan, when a valuable vase breaks, they don't throw it away. They join the pieces with liquid gold. The technique is called kintsugi. The repaired vase is more beautiful and more valuable than the original because it has history. Its scars are made of gold. This is the perfect metaphor for leaving the loop. Don't try to erase the trauma or go back to being who you were before. That is impossible. Lost innocence does not return. But you can become something better. The initiate. The pain of trauma, if processed correctly, becomes wisdom. He who has suffered abuse and has healed it has an empathy and a strength others don't. He who has hit bottom in addiction and has come out has a spiritual steel that the Sunday churchgoer does not know. The lead of trauma is the raw material for the gold of the spirit. The loop wants you to stay with the lead. Heavy, toxic. Alchemy teaches you to transmute it. Ask yourself, what superpower has this pain given me? Maybe it gave you resilience, maybe it gave you X-ray vision to detect lies. Take the power, leave the pain. 40. Radical forgiveness, cutting the energetic cable. People hate the word forgiveness. They think forgiving is saying what you did was fine, or we are friends again. No, that is submission. Radical forgiveness is a selfish and strategic act of liberation. Hate is a steel cable that binds you to the aggressor. While you hate someone, you are tied to them. You are in a loop with them. You are sending them your vital energy through the cable. The aggressor may be dead or on the beach enjoying themselves, and you are at home drinking poison, waiting for them to die. Forgiving is taking out giant scissors and cutting the cable. It means, I reclaim my energy. I leave you with your karma. I don't give a damn what happens to you, I am free. When you truly forgive, you don't feel love for the aggressor. You feel indifference. The anchor is released. The ship moves. You don't do it for them. You do it because you cannot sail dragging corpses. Somatization and disease. If you don't listen to the whisper of trauma, the body starts to scream. The loop, by blocking the flow of life, generates stagnation. Stagnation, disease. Many autoimmune diseases, chronic pains, and unexplained fatigues are crystallized traumas. It is the energy of defense turned against oneself. The body attacks itself because it could not attack the real aggressor. Leaving the loop often triggers spontaneous healings. When you let go of the emotional burden from 20 years ago, the body says, finally, I no longer need to maintain this defensive inflammation, and the disease remits. It is not a miracle. It is that you have stopped spending all your energy on keeping the anchor underwater. Now that energy is used to repair the tissue. Practice somatic release, the silent scream. We are going to do an exercise to move the frozen energy. You don't need to think. You need to feel. Instructions. 1. Find a private place. Car, room with a pillow. 2. Think of the event or situation that keeps you in the loop, the trauma, the injustice. 3. Don't enter the mental story. Enter the physical sensation. Where do you feel it? In the chest, in the throat, in the stomach? 4. Intensify the sensation. Give it permission to grow. 5. Now, let the body do what it wanted to do in that moment and couldn't. If you wanted to push, push a wall with all your strength. Tense the muscles until you shake. If you wanted to scream, scream into a pillow until you stay empty, the primal scream. If you wanted to run, run in place, lifting your knees. If you wanted to cry, curl into a ball and cry deep. 6. Maintain the intensity for 2 or 3 minutes. Exhaust the trauma's battery. 7. After, shake yourself. Shake your hands, feet, the whole body like a wet dog. Visualize that you are shaking black dust from your aura. Stay still and breathe. Feel the light vacuum that remains. That vacuum is free space on your hard drive. You just deleted a corrupt file of 10 gigs. Now you have space for new software. Chapter 7. The Glitch Signs of Awakening. In the movie The Truman Show, The protagonist begins to suspect that his world is false when a studio light falls from the sky on a clear day. It is a production error, a flaw in the scenery. You are living exactly the same thing. As you withdraw your energy from the loop and stop acting like an automaton, reality's software begins to have trouble. It begins to have trouble rendering your experience in real time. You start to see obsessive numerical patterns, 1111. You have coincidences that defy all mathematical statistics. You think of someone and they call you a second later. You lose objects that appear in impossible places. You are not going crazy, on the contrary. You are becoming lucid within the dream. The system is failing because you are waking up, and those failures are the cracks through which the real light enters. Consensual reality, the 3D matrix, is a system of high efficiency. It works under the principle of resource economy. The system only renders, draws in high resolution, what you are looking at, or what is likely to happen according to your historical algorithm. If you always go from home to work by the same route, the system does not spend energy creating novelties on that route. It gives you the same cars, the same faces, the same grey weather. It is a texture loop. But what happens when the player, you, becomes unpredictable? What happens when you decide to break the routine? Chapter 1. Ignore fear, Chapter 2, and heal trauma, Chapter 6. The predictive algorithm panics. Error. The subject has not reacted with anger. The subject has changed routes. Recalculating. That recalculating causes a lag or a glitch in reality. It is like in a video game when you move faster than the console can process. Walls flicker, objects pass through the floor. Seeing glitches is the definitive confirmation that leaving the loop is working. If your life were totally normal, solid, and predictable, it would mean you are still deeply asleep. Rareness is the symptom of awakening. If your life is becoming strange, celebrate it. You are touching the source code. Thanks to synchronicity, Carl Jung's bomb. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe a meaningful coincidence that has no logical causal cause. Example, you're talking about golden beetles in a therapy session, and at that precise moment, a golden beetle hits the window. The statistical probability is almost zero. Jung, a modern Gnostic, understood that the psyche and matter are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin, the unus mundus. When your psyche changes frequency, matter reorganizes itself instantaneously to reflect that change. In the loop, synchronicities are rare or negative, bad luck synchronicities. When you start to escape, synchronicities explode. They become constant. You think of a book and you find it lying on a bench. You need an exact amount of money and a forgotten tax refund arrives. You meet someone who has the exact answer to the question you asked yourself last night. This is not luck. It is that you have entered the flow. You have stopped swimming against the current of the loop, resistance, and have stepped onto the current of the spirit. Synchronicity is the language of the universe. The loop speaks to you in problems and obstacles. The universe speaks to you in coincidences and ease. Follow the coincidences. They are the breadcrumbs that lead you out of the forest. To the 1111 phenomenon, binary code of awakening. Millions of people report seeing 1111 or 2222, 333, 444 on clocks, license plates, and receipts obsessively. Skeptics say it is confirmation bias. Your brain looks for the pattern. The initiate knows it is something more. Numbers are the base language of reality. Pythagoras said, all is number. The matrix is a mathematical code. When you see repeated numbers, master numbers, you are seeing the structure of the code exposed. It is like seeing the zeros and ones of matrix. 1111 specifically is a binary portal. 2 pillars on one side, 2 pillars on the other. A door. It means alignment confirmed. It is the system telling you, you are online. Your thought and your reality are synchronized. What you think now manifests fast. When you see 1111, stop. Do a quick save. Observe what you were thinking at that precise second. Was it a thought of fear or power? Because the universe is telling you, message received. Copying and pasting that thought into your future. Use repeated numbers as awareness alarms to correct your vibration. 3. Déjà vu, the checkpoint. The scientific explanation for déjà vu, amnesia, is a processing delay between the left and right eye, or a failure in short-term memory. The metaphysical explanation is much more interesting. A déjà vu is a time marker. It means you have reached a crucial node in the loop. I have already lived this. Yes, you have lived it, in the previous turn of Samsara. It is the exact moment where in a past life you made a decision that kept you in the loop. Déjà vu is a second chance. It is the universe pausing the game and asking you, are you going to do the same as last time? If you have a strong déjà vu during an argument with your partner, red alert. It is a critical moment. If you keep arguing the same way, you repeat the painful timeline. If you go silent, or laugh, or change the subject radically, you break the loop. You change the timeline. Déjà vu is not a curiosity, it is a fork in the road. The next time you feel it, don't say, oh, how weird, and keep going. Change your immediate action. Turn the steering wheel. For the white rabbit, irrational intuition. In Matrix, Neo must follow the white rabbit. In Alice in Wonderland, Alice follows the rabbit down the hole. The white rabbit represents irrational intuition. The loop is built with logic. A plus B from C, work. Obey from survive. If you use logic to exit a logical prison, you will lose. The prison is smarter than you. To get out, you have to do something that makes no logical sense, but feels right viscerally. The glitch manifests as a sudden, senseless impulse. Go home by the long way. Logic says, no, it's late. Call that person you haven't seen for 5 years. Logic says, how embarrassing. Enter this empty bookstore. Logic says, you're in a hurry. That impulse is the white rabbit. It is a signal from a higher intelligence, yourself outside of time, that sees the labyrinth from above. Yourself sees that on the short path there is an accident, loop. Yourself sees that in the bookstore there is a book that will change your life, exit. Following the glitch requires courage because it makes you look crazy or impulsive. But every time you follow an irrational hunch and it results in something magical, you are training your quantum navigation muscle. You are learning to navigate by radar, not by sight. The Mandela effect, timeline shift. Do you remember that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s? Many people remember it vividly, but in this reality he died free in 2013. Do you remember the Monopoly man with a monocle? He never had a monocle. This is called the Mandela effect. People believe it is collective false memory. The quantum physics of many worlds suggests something else. Our consciousness slides between parallel realities. As you raise your vibration to leave the loop, you literally move to a parallel Earth that vibrates higher. On that new Earth, history is slightly different. Logos change, famous names change, past events change. If you notice these changes, continuity glitches, don't panic. You don't have Alzheimer's. You are traveling. It means you have let go of the dead weight of timeline A, low vibration, and have anchored in timeline B, high vibration. Sometimes the changes are personal. You leave your keys on the table, you turn around, they are gone. You search the whole house, you go back to the table, there they are. Were you blind? No. For a few minutes you were in a reality where the keys were not there. Then you collapsed back the reality where they were. Matter is fluid around the awakened. Get used to objects playing hide and seek. It's a sign your reality is malleable. Lucid dreams and sleep paralysis. The loop weakens when you sleep. The Archons try to maintain control through nightmares or anxiety dreams, dreams of work, missing the train, teeth falling out. But when you begin to awaken in waking life, you begin to awaken in the dream. You have lucid dreams. You realize that you are dreaming. And in that moment, you become God within the dream. You can fly, walk through walls, change the scenery. This is not just nightly entertainment. It is training. The dream world is the gym of the spirit. If you learn to control your fear and manifest objects in lucid dreaming, you are developing the muscle to do it in the matrix. The physical matrix is just a denser and slower dream. The rules are the same. Sometimes sleep paralysis occurs. You wake up, but you cannot move. You feel a dark presence on your chest or in the room. You've been told it's a hypnagogic hallucination. Gnosis says you are perceiving parasites, Archons, in their real dimension. They are scanning you or trying to scare you so you generate louche fear and go back to sleep. If it happens to you, do not panic. Remember, you are sovereign. Move a finger or your tongue, concentrate on a small point, and project a burst of light from your chest. You will see the shadow flee. It is an initiation test. Serpent electronic interference, the SLI effect. When your auric field expands, you leave the loop of contraction. You generate a powerful electromagnetic field. This affects the cheap technology of the Matrix. It is called SLI, street light interference. You are walking and street lights turn off as you pass. Or your computer freezes when you are excited or angry. Or the Wi-Fi drops when you have a spiritual revelation. Your vibration is too high for the environment's hardware. You are frying the Matrix locally. It is a physical sign that you are no longer just a battery. You are a generator. Do not get angry with technology. Take it as an applause meter for your energy. 80 Agent Smith defense, deterrence. Here is a negative glitch, a warning. When the system detects that you are seeing the glitches and following the white rabbit, it tries to distract you. It activates the agents. Just the day you decide to start your new life, your car breaks down, or your best friend starts an absurd drama, or you get the flu. They are obstruction glitches. The loop is trying to pull the leash. Are you leaving here? Take some problems, deal with this and forget your awakening. Most people fall for it. Oh, the universe doesn't want me to do this. I have bad luck. No. It is the opposite. The resistance confirms that you are escaping. If you are in a video game and many enemies and the final boss appear, what does it mean? It means you are on the right path to the next level. If there were no enemies, you would be going in circles on level 1. When absurd problems appear just as you are waking up, smile, say, I see you, Matrix, you won't distract me. Pass through the smoke, it is only an illusion of a barrier. Zita, signal navigation, the ways of the universe. Once outside the logical loop, how do you make decisions? You can no longer use pro and con logic, which is mental and limited. You use signal navigation. You ask the universe a question, should I accept this job? And then you scan the glitch. You don't look for the answer in your head, you look for it outside. You turn on the radio. A song plays that says run away. You go out to the street, you see a couple fighting violently. You feel a contraction in your stomach. The signal is no, or the opposite. The radio sings best day of my life. You see a child laughing, you see a truck with an Succeed logo. You feel expansion. The signal is yes. The universe responds to you constantly in real time. The loop kept you deaf and blind to these answers. Learning the language of personal symbols is vital. For some, seeing a feather is a sign of you're doing well. For others, seeing repeated numbers. Define your code with the universe. Wait, if you see it on a t-shirt, on Instagram or Reel, trust it. If you don't, it's a no. Navigating like this is living in constant magic. Hex practice, manifestation test, mental randonautica. We are going to trigger an intentional glitch. You are going to prove to yourself that your consciousness affects reality. The pink elephant experiment, or whatever you choose. 1. Choose an unusual object. Example, a yellow rubber duck, a top hat, a pink elephant. 2. Close your eyes. Visualize the object. Do not desire it with anxiety. Just observe it in your mind like a screensaver. 3. Say, Universe, show me this in the next 24 hours as confirmation that I am waking up. 4. Let it go. Forget it. Do not go out looking for it obsessively. Go about your day. I guarantee it will appear. You will see it in a meme. You will see it in a shop window on television, or someone will mention it. When it appears, you will feel an electric chill down your spine. That chill is the physical sensation of the glitch. It is the feeling that the wall of reality is false, and you have passed through it. Keep that feeling. It is the faith you need. Chapter 8. Pattern Breaking, the Hammer of Chaos. Order is the dream of tyrants. The loop sustains itself through predictability. The system knows what time you wake up, what route you take, what you eat, and what makes you angry. It has a mathematical model of your psyche that is right 99% of the time. As long as you are predictable, you are controllable. As long as you are logical, you are a prisoner. The only thing that the system cannot model, cannot predict, and cannot contain is chaos. Chaos is the raw energy of creation before being domesticated. Ancient shamans used sacred madness to break the spells of consensual reality. Today you are going to use the hammer of chaos. You are going to break the algorithms that rule your destiny. You are going to stop being an NPC, non-player character, with fixed roots, and you are going to become a living glitch. Imagine that you are playing a game of chess against a supercomputer. The computer knows all possible moves. It has studied every game in history. If you play well, following logic, theory, and classic strategy, the computer will always win. It calculates faster and better than you. The loop is that computer. It knows that if it leaves you without money, you will react with fear and seek any precarious job, logical move A. You are playing on its board with its rules. Defeat is guaranteed by statistics. How do you beat a perfect computer? By doing something that is not in the database, by doing something stupid, something crazy, something that breaks the board. If in the middle of the game you get up and start dancing, or move the knight as if it were a rook, the computer throws an error. Error. Invalid move. It freezes. It does not know how to process the data. In that moment of freezing, the loop opens. That is pattern breaking. It is not a strategy to win within the rules. It is a strategy to invalidate the game. The predictive algorithm, your invisible cage. We live in the era of big data. Google and Facebook know what you are going to buy before you do. The Matrix works the same way, but at a metaphysical level. The Archons, or the Master Program, have a profile of your avatar. Subject, 8492. Routine, wake up 7 Su. Coffee, Metro. Office, complaint, Metro. Netflix, sleep. Emotional triggers, traffic, politics, sexual rejection. State, docile. As long as you stay within those parameters, the system does not spend energy on you. It leaves you on automatic rendering. You are an efficient gear. But if on any given Tuesday, instead of going to the office, you go to the forest without telling anyone, you turn off your mobile and sit to look at a tree for 4 hours, the system enters an alert. Alert, subject off route, anomalous behavior, no prediction available. You have introduced entropy into an ordered system. Entropy is the measure of disorder. The loop hates entropy. For the loop, disorder is cancer. For you, disorder is freedom. The more chaotic, unpredictable you are, the harder it is for the Matrix to keep your reality hologram coherent. The walls of your prison begin to flicker. TOS, massive and imperfect action, the antidote to perfectionism. The loop uses perfectionism to keep you paralyzed. Don't launch the project until it's perfect. Don't talk to that person until you know what to say. Don't travel until you have a lot of money. Perfectionism is fear disguised as quality. It is loop logic. Wait, think, plan, don't do anything yet. The way out is massive and imperfect action. It is the machine gun strategy, not the snipers. Shoot at everything, move fast, break things. If you want to start a business, don't make a 6-month business plan. Sell something today, even if it goes wrong. If you want to meet people, talk to 50 people today, even if you stutter. Speed and volume of action create a vortex of energy. The universe rewards movement, not intention. Chaos generates opportunities. If you throw 100 stones into the pond, one will hit the target, even if you aim poorly. If you spend 10 years aiming a single perfect stone, you will probably never throw it. The hammer of chaos hits many times and very hard. It breaks paralysis by analysis. The art of the irrational, the logic of the fool. To get out of a logical trap, you have to use irrationality. Logic tells you, save money, be prudent, seek security. That logic has led you exactly to where you are, trapped. The fool of the tarot walks toward the precipice with a smile and a flower. He does not look down, he trusts, and because he trusts, he does not fall, he flies. Practicing the irrational is spiritual training. 1. Give money away when you have little, breaks the scarcity pattern. 2. Laugh when you should cry, breaks the victim pattern. 3. Accept an invitation you would normally reject. 4. Wear clothes that are not your style. When you act irrationally, you short-circuit your ego. The ego says, but this makes no sense, they are going to judge us, we are going to lose. You respond exactly, that is the plan. By acting against your own survival logic, you prove that you are spirit, not biology. The spirit does not need logic because it is eternal. Irrationality is the master key. Fear strategic incoherence confusing the enemy. Sun Tzu in The Art of War says, "Be extremely subtle even to the point of formlessness. Be completely mysterious even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of the opponent's fate. If you are coherent, you are an easy target. One always goes to the bar on Fridays. There they can wait to tempt or attack you." The initiate practices strategic incoherence. He changes his routines constantly. He never does the same thing twice in the same way. 1. One day he is vegan, another day he eats meat. 2. One day he is sociable, another day he is a hermit. 3. One day he wakes up at 5 a.m., another at 10 a.m. Not out of mental disorder, but as an evasion tactic. He becomes a moving target. Energetic parasites cannot hook onto someone who changes frequency constantly. When they try to bite you on the frequency of sadness, you have already moved to the frequency of constructive anger. When they look for you in the routine of hard work, you have gone to the routine of pleasure. You are fog. Breaking the emotional pattern, the firewall. This is the most powerful use of the hammer. The loop feeds on your automatic emotional reaction. Stimulus, reaction, someone insults you, you take offense. Traffic, stress, news of war, fear. The hammer of chaos breaks the link between stimulus and reaction. The next time a serious crisis occurs, e.g. a pipe bursts, your automatic pattern is scream, cry, call the insurance with anxiety. Apply chaos, sit on the sofa with your feet in the water, and start laughing out loud. Put on party music, dance in the water, do it for real. Force the laughter until it is real. In that moment you have broken the matrix. The physical situation is the same, but the timeline has changed. On timeline A, victim, that flood ruins your month and lowers your vibration. On timeline B, chaos magician, that flood is a funny anecdote that proves your power over matter. The energy you were going to spend on suffering, you used to clean while singing. You have hacked the event. Faisi the drift, psychogeography. The situationists invented the derive, drift. It consists of walking through the city without a destination, letting yourself be guided by the attraction of the terrain and chance encounters, avoiding the usual routes of capitalist life. The city is a physical loop, streets designed to lead you to shops and offices. When you do the drift, you break urban programming. You discover streets that should not be there. You find objects, graffiti, or people who have messages for you. Glitches. Walking without a destination is a revolutionary act in a society obsessed with productivity. Go out for a walk. At every corner, let intuition decide. You will end up in places that vibrate with a different energy, places where the loop is thinner. There you can have revelations that you would never have sitting on your sofa. Shock to the system, biohacking of chaos. The body is the anchor of the loop. Sometimes the mind wants to get out, but the body is too comfortable and sedated. You need to give the body a hammer blow to wake it up. You need hormesis, beneficial stress. Ice-cold showers. It's not for health, it's for chaos. Cold water is a thermal shock that forces your brain to be 100% present. It cuts internal dialogue instantly. It breaks comfort. It tells the body, I command, not you. Intermittent or prolonged fasting breaks the pattern of eating by the clock. It tells the body, we are not going to eat today, survive. The body enters alert and repair mode. The mental clarity from fasting is an escape tool. Controlled sleep deprivation, vigil. Staying awake an entire night meditating or creating. You break the circadian cycle. In the early morning, the barrier between the conscious and subconscious is very thin. These shocks restart the biological operating system. They take the body out of its stupor. That energy is used to jump the wall. 8. Killing the character, cosmic roleplay. If your identity is a mask, you can change it. The hammer of chaos allows you to play at being someone else. The alter ego exercise. Choose a character that is the opposite of your loop self. If you are shy and poor, invent Max, a charismatic, rich and arrogant guy. Dress like Max, walk like Max, talk like Max. Go to a bar or a city where no one knows you, and introduce yourself as Max. No one knows it's a lie. For them, you are Max. and you will see how reality treats you differently. They will treat you with respect. They will invite you to things. This proves that your destiny is not fixed. It depends purely on your performance. If you can be Max for one night, you can be Max forever. The loop does not catch souls, it catches characters. If you change characters, the loop loses your trail. Slightly poetic terrorism, Hakim Bey. The concept of the temporary autonomous zone, creating moments of absolute freedom that disappear before the system can repress them. Do something beautiful and absurd for others. 1. Leave a book with an inspiring note on a park bench. 2. Pay for the coffee of the person behind you and leave before they thank you. 3. Write poetry with chalk on the sidewalk. These acts are attacks of beauty. They break the loop of coldness and isolation of the matrix. They create a positive glitch in another person's life. And by the law of cause and effect, by freeing another from their grey routine for a second, you free yourself from yours. X, the strategy of the radical yes and no. The loop is maintained by lukewarmness. You say maybe. You say, well, okay. You let yourself be carried away. The hammer of chaos works with extremes. For one day, apply a radical rule. Day of yes. You say yes to everything proposed. That is not dangerous. You surrender to the flow. Day of no. You say no to everything. I say no to everything that does not passion you 100%. No to social commitments. No to favors you don't want to do. No to overtime. You defend your time with a sword. Both extremes break the pattern of inertia. Yes opens you to new timelines. No returns your sovereign energy. Either is better than mediocre limbo. Chaos, practice the day of the die, directed chance. We are going to surrender your will to chance, which is the hand of God in disguise, to break the logic of the ego. The die experiment. You need a 6-sided die. Tomorrow, when you have to make decisions, what to eat, what to do in your free time, who to call, don't think about it. Assign options and throw the die. Options for the afternoon. 1. Go to the cinema alone. 2. Call a friend I haven't seen in a long time. 3. Walk 10 kilometers. 4. Write my goals. 5. Meditate 1 hour. 6. Go to an elegant bar and have a drink. Throw the die. If it comes up 3, you walk 10 km. No excuses. By obeying the die, you bypass the resistance of your reptilian brain. This deceives the ego and allows you to do things you normally wouldn't. You are introducing quantum randomness into your life. You are navigating through chaos. You will be surprised at who you meet on that walk or in that bar. The die usually takes you exactly where you needed to be, where your logic would never have taken you. Chapter 9. Timeline Jumping, Quantum Jumping. You have been lied to about the nature of destiny. You have been told that you have only one path, one future, and one life. The many worlds interpretation of quantum physics suggests something much more dizzying. You live in a multiverse. In this precise instant, infinite versions of you exist. There is a version that made that different decision 10 years ago. There is a version that is a millionaire. There is a version that never got sick. And there is a version that has already left the loop. All exist simultaneously, vibrating at slightly different frequencies like radio stations on the same dial. You are not trapped in your bad luck. You are tuned into the bad luck station. And the dial is in your hand. Today we are going to change frequency. Today we are going to jump. The loop convinces you that reality is solid and linear. Yesterday you were poor, today you are poor, tomorrow you will be poor. Linear cause and effect. But quantum jumping breaks linearity. It proposes that it is not necessary to travel the entire path step by step. You can teleport energetically. Imagine a building with infinite floors. The loop is running in circles in the basement. You believe that to reach the penthouse freedom, you have to climb the stairs step by step. You believe it requires effort, time, and suffering. Quantum jumping is taking the elevator. You enter the elevator in the basement, press the penthouse button, the doors close, the void, and when they open, you are upstairs. You haven't climbed the stairs, you have changed your vertical coordinate today in your life right now. To the logical mind, the ego, this is cheating. You cannot have success without suffering first, says the Archon. You cannot heal without years of treatment. Quantum jumping laughs at those rules. Miracles, spontaneous healings, and sudden changes of fortune are simply people who found the elevator today now. They stopped vibrating in the frequency of the problem and started vibrating in the frequency of the solution so intensely that physical reality had no choice but to readjust around them. By shifting their internal state, they bypassed the linear struggle and manifested a new reality through pure frequency alignment. The cosmic television, all channels exist. Imagine that your consciousness is a television. Right now you are watching Channel 1, drama, pain, scarcity. The fact that you are watching Channel 1 does not mean that Channel 99, success, peace, love, is not broadcasting. Channel 99 is there, in the air, passing through your body right now in the form of waves. But your internal tuner is rusty and stuck on Channel 1. You shout at the screen, "I hate this movie. I want to see something else." But you don't touch the remote. You keep thinking Channel 1 thoughts, feeling Channel 1 emotions, and acting like the protagonist of Channel 1 in your world right now, today now. By physical law, the screen must continue showing Channel 1. Leaving the loop is not trying to change the script of the horror movie while it is being projected. That is very difficult. Leaving the loop is changing the channel. It is withdrawing your attention from the current reality, ignoring the senses today now. It is tuning the frequency of the desired reality until the image changes. At first you will see static, chaos, then the new image stabilizes. Tos, the illusion of continuity. Why does it seem that our life is continuous if so many realities exist? Because we jump millions of times per second to almost identical realities. It is like the frames of a movie. Each frame is a static photo. If you pass very similar photos quickly, it creates the illusion of movement in your life right now today. You are constantly jumping from me now to me a nanosecond later. The loop ensures that you jump to the most logical and closest frame. From the frame "I have debts," you jump to the frame "I still have debts." It is a micro jump. Quantum jumping seeks a macro jump today in your world now. Jumping from "I have debts" to "I won the lottery," or "I came up with $1 million idea. To make a macro jump, you have to break logical continuity. You have to stop expecting the future to look like the past. You have to surprise the universe with a vibration that does not correspond to your history now. Throw the coordinates of the jump, vibration. How do you tell the elevator which floor to go to? You don't use words. The universe does not speak Spanish or English. It speaks frequency. Your frequency is composed of belief plus emotion. If you believe life is hard and feel heaviness, that is the basement coordinate in your world today right now. If you believe I am lucky and feel gratitude, enthusiasm, that is the penthouse coordinate. The problem is that most people look at their current reality, basement, and react to it. Look, I'm in the basement. How dark, how scary. By observing and reacting to the basement, you are sending the signal today now. Basement coordinate confirmed, keep me here. It is a feedback loop. To jump, you have to do something schizophrenic for the ego. You have to ignore 3D reality. You have to close your eyes, deny what your physical senses see, and generate the emotion of the penthouse while you are in the basement now. You have to feel rich while being poor. You have to feel accompanied while being alone. You have to feel healthy while being sick. This cognitive dissonance is the fuel of the jump. You are telling the cosmic GPS, my vibration is penthouse, but my physical location is basement. There is an error, correct it now. And the universe, to correct the discrepancy, lifts you to the penthouse. Phi, the quantum double, your successful twin. Jean-Pierre Garnier Mallet, a French physicist, speaks of the double. In a parallel reality, a version of you already exists who made the right decisions. That double already has the solution to your problem. You don't have to invent the solution. You have to download it from them today in your life right now. Timeline jumping is a data fusion. You connect with your successful double and say, pass me the files. During sleep, REM phase, or deep meditation, you can access that timeline. Visualize it. Look at yourself from line B. How do they walk? How do they breathe? What look do they have today now? Today, do not look at them like a stranger. Look at them like a mirror. Feel yourself getting into their skin. Feel how your posture adjusts. Feel their confidence. By doing this, You are copying their vibratory code into your cellular structure. You are deceiving the matrix so that it recognizes you as them. V, the bridge of incidents. The transition chaos. Here is where 99% fail in the jump. You do the visualization, you lift your energy, you feel incredible, and the next day, everything breaks. You get fired, your car explodes, your partner leaves you, you think, shit, I did it wrong. I have attracted bad luck today in your world right now today. And you run back to the old loop out of fear. Error. That chaos is the bridge of incidents. It is the sign that the jump has worked. To take you from the bored employee life to the free entrepreneur life, the universe needs you to be fired. The firing is not a misfortune, it is the transport mechanism now. To take you to a soulmate relationship, the universe needs to remove your toxic partner from your life. The destruction of the old structure is necessary for the construction of the new one. When you jump and everything begins to crumble, do not panic. Smile and say, excellent. The old stage is being dismantled today. The move has begun. Maintain faith during the storm. It is only the turbulence of the journey. Vis assumption versus attraction. The law of attraction is often taught wrong. I want to attract a car. That implies separation. The car is there and I am here. Quantum jumping uses the law of assumption, Neville Goddard. You do not attract anything. You move to the place where the car is already yours today in your life now. You assume the identity of the car owner. The difference is subtle but brutal. Attraction, I hope it arrives. Passive, future. Assumption, it is already mine. Where are the keys? Active, present. The jump requires the divine arrogance of taking it for granted in your world right now today. I am not trying to be rich. I am remembering that I am rich and waiting for the bank account to update. Living in the end collapses time. It eliminates the waiting. If you already are it, you cannot wait for it. By embodying the result as a present fact, you force the material world to catch up today. Serpent, letting go of baggage, the death of the old self. You cannot enter the new timeline with the suitcase of the old line. You cannot be a successful entrepreneur if you continue carrying the resentment, the poverty habits, and the complaints of the frustrated employee. The portal is narrow. Only you fit, naked of the past today in your world now. You have to make a sacrifice. The sacrifice is your old story. If you love telling your friends how miserable you are, you cannot jump. That story is the anchor. You have to stop talking about your problems. Literally. Shut up. Stop validating the old reality with your words right now, today, now. If they ask you, how are you? Do not say bad, struggling. Say, in transition, great things are coming. Or simply fine. Deny the old reality until you starve it to death. Start talking only about the new reality, as if it were already a fact. By withholding your energy from the past, you free it for the future. Faifidi, retrocausality, healing the past from the future. Quantum physics allows the future to affect the past. When you jump to a better timeline, not only does your future change, your past changes too. Suddenly, you remember your childhood differently. You no longer see it as a trauma, but as necessary training today in your life, right now, today, now. New memories or new interpretations appear. It is as if by changing the end of the book, the author rewrote the beginning so that it makes sense. Your successful self travels back in time and rescues your child self. You realize that you were never broken. You were just in the dark chapter of a triumph story now. This retroactive healing is the definitive proof that you have jumped. The pain disappears from memory. Dice the lag effect, the mirror delay. We live in a dense universe. Matter is slow. When you make a vibratory change, jump, 3D reality takes time to reflect it. It is like turning the steering wheel of a huge ship. You turn today, the ship turns within 1 kilometer. That waiting time is the lag today, in your world, right now, today, now. During the lag, you still see remains of the old reality, old bills, old problems. It is the echo. Do not be deceived by the echo. Many jump, see that the next day they are still poor, get discouraged and go back. You have to persist in the assumption, despite the evidence of the senses today now. You have to walk through your poor house seeing your mansion. You have to ignore the lag. Say to yourself, This is just the old scenery that they haven't removed yet. The new reality is already loaded on the server and is downloading. Faith is the ability to sustain the jump during the lag today now. Practice. The two-glass technique. This is a classic and potent quantum jumping technique. Materials: 2 glass cups, water, paper and pen. Adhesive tape. Instructions. 1. Label glass. 1. Write your current situation on a paper, e.g. debts and stress. Tape it to the glass full of water today, in your life now. Label glass 2. Write the desired situation on another paper, e.g. financial freedom and peace. Tape it to the empty glass. 3. Contemplation. Sit with glass 1 full. Feel the emotions of that old reality. Thank it for what was learned, but say goodbye. Say, this reality no longer belongs to me now. 4. The jump. Pour the water from glass 1 into glass 2. Listen to the sound of the water falling. Feel that the energy is transferring and transforming. 5. Assumption. Now look at glass 2, full with the new water. Feel the emotion of the new label. Feel the relief, the joy right now, today now. 6. Ingestion. Drink the water from glass. 2. While drinking, visualize that you are introducing the new vibration into every cell of your body. You are reprogramming your DNA with the new information. 7. Closing. Tear up the paper from glass 1 and throw it away. Keep the paper from glass 2. Say, it is done, I have jumped. From this moment on, act as if you were in line 2. Chapter 10, Sovereignty, the Final Contract. We have reached the end of the labyrinth. We have seen the wheel, Ouroboros, the jailers, Archons, amnesia, traumas and glitches. But none of this matters if you do not understand the supreme law of the universe, consent. We live in a reality of free will. This means one terrifying and wonderful thing. No one can enslave you without your permission. If you are in the loop, it is because at some deep and forgotten level you said yes. Perhaps it was a deceived yes or a yes out of fear, but it was a yes. Therefore, the only legal way to leave is not to escape like a fugitive, but to exit through the front door like a king who revokes his contract. Today you will declare your independence. The loop is not a maximum security prison, it is a contract farm. The Archons are not armed guards, they are fraudulent cosmic lawyers. They operate under the universal law of consent. They cannot touch your divine energy, which is inviolable, unless you give them access. How do they get that access? Through deception, fraud. They tell you, you have to suffer to learn. You say, oh, okay, I accept. Sign. They tell you, you must return to Earth to pay the karma for having hurt Juan. You say, it is fair, I accept. Sign. They tell you, you need protection, give us your power, and we will care for you. You say, I am afraid, I accept. Sign. You have signed thousands of soul contracts throughout your lives. Contracts of poverty, monastic vows of chastity, poverty, contracts of family loyalty, contracts of suffering for love. Those papers remain in effect in your Akashic file. They are active programs running in the background of your life. That is why, even if you consciously want money, your contract of 12th century Franciscan poverty continues to block the entrance. Leaving the loop requires a spiritual legal audit. You have to nullify the old contracts and draft a new one. The trap of guilt and karma. The primary tool for obtaining your consent is guilt. Karma, as it is popularly taught, reward and punishment, is an Archon distortion. Real karma is simply cause and effect, physics. But the karmic debt system is a fraudulent bank. They make you believe your debt is unpayable. You did wrong in 1850, you have to pay in 2024. It is a scam. Suffering does not pay debts. Suffering only generates loosh. The only way to balance energy is through consciousness and change of attitude, not through pain. If you have already learned the lesson, e.g. not being violent, the debt is settled. You do not need to be born again to be hit. That is sadism, not justice. The sovereign rejects guilt. The sovereign says, I have learned, I forgive myself, the debt is cancelled by my own authority. 2. What is a sovereign being? Sovereignty means, I have no owner. It seems obvious, but most people desperately seek owners. They look for gurus, politicians, punishing gods, controlling partners. They are afraid of total freedom. The sovereign assumes radical responsibility. If I get sick, I am responsible. If I am poor, I am responsible. If I am happy, I am responsible. There is no one to blame, there is no one to pray to, so they fix it. You are the highest authority in your personal universe. This terrifies the ego, but empowers the spirit. When you declare yourself sovereign, the Archons retreat. They cannot parasitize an equal. They can only parasitize those who believe they are inferior. Third, the revocation of agreements, the legal act. It is not enough to want to be free. You have to decree it. In the spiritual world, the spoken word with intention is law. You have to make a formal revocation. Imagine you are before a cosmic court. You have to read your sentence of freedom. The declaration of non-consent. From my I am presence are your name. By divine right and natural law, revoke, cancel and nullify all contracts, pacts, vows, agreements and alliances that I have made in this life or any other, consciously or unconsciously, with any entity, institution or egregore that does not serve my highest good and sovereignty. I revoke the contract of suffering. I revoke the contract of poverty. I revoke the contract of loyalty to family pain. I declare these agreements null and void from the beginning of time until the end. I declare myself free and sovereign. Any being that attempts to violate my energetic space without my consent is violating cosmic law and will be expelled by my will. It is done. It is done. It is done. When you say this with holy fury and certainty, a tremor is felt in the aura. Invisible chains break. You feel as if a weight of tons is lifted off you. IV, the birthright. Why do you have the right to break the contracts? Because your origin is not the farm. Your origin is the pleroma, the totality, the source. You are a fractal of God. A fractal of God cannot be a slave to an inferior creation, Archons. It is as if an architect were enslaved by the building he built. Absurd. You have forgotten your rank. The loop depends on you believing that you are a sinner, a small human, or a biological accident. Regaining your sovereignty is remembering your royal lineage. You have diplomatic immunity in the matrix, but you forgot to use the passport. V, the guardian of the threshold, the final test. Joseph Campbell speaks of the guardian of the threshold. When you are about to leave the loop definitively, the system puts you through one last test. It is not a monster. It is usually a temptation or a final threat. They offer you your dream job, but you have to sell your soul, ethics. The perfect ex-partner returns, but you know they will put you back to sleep. You get seriously ill just before your big jump. The guardian asks you, are you serious, or are you just playing? If you step back before fear or temptation, the contract of slavery is renewed. While they preferred comfort to freedom, they stay. If you cross the guardian by saying no to the golden offer or ignoring the fear, the loop collapses. The system recognizes, this one is no longer cattle, let them pass. Father Death Review, the Great Deception. The Gnostics warn about what happens at death. You see the tunnel of light. You feel love. You meet beings of light, Archons in disguise. They show you the movie of your life. They make you feel guilty for your mistakes. And they tell you, you must return to fix this. We will give you a new family and a new mission. If you accept sign, they erase your memory and put you in a baby's body. Loop restarted. The sovereign, upon dying, does something different. He does not go to the light automatically. He stops and observes. He scans the beings. He asks, are you of the true light or are you impostors? Show your real form. By law, they must show it. He rejects guilt. When they show him his errors, he says, I recognize it, I forgive myself, and I learned. I do not need to return to suffer. My learning here has ended. He looks inward. He turns his attention to his own heart, center. There is the direct connection to the source. He creates his own tunnel to true freedom, leaving the 3D, 4D matrix. Leaving the loop in life is the training for this final moment. If you are not sovereign now, you will not be when you die. 7. Living without a net, the free fall. Being sovereign gives you vertigo. You no longer have Papa government and Papa religion or Papa guru to tell you what to do. You have to write your own moral code. You have to generate your own sustenance. You have to heal yourself. It is living without a net. At first, You feel alone. But that loneliness is necessary. It is the loneliness of the eagle. Sheep go in a flock. Eagles fly alone. The view from above is spectacular, but the air is cold. The loop was warm and stinking, like a stable. Freedom is cold and clean, like the stratosphere. You will get used to the clean air. Vakers, the new contract, your dharma. Once the contracts of slavery are revoked, you do not stay in a void. You draft a new contract, but this one you write. I, sovereign being, contract with life to experience. Unlimited abundance to create projects of beauty. Conscious love without drama. Vital health to enjoy my vehicle. Service to humanity from joy, not from sacrifice. Sign that contract every morning. That is your new law. And the universe, which is a neutral mirror, has no choice but to reflect that law. If you say you are king, the universe puts out the red carpet. If you say you are a worm, the universe steps on you. Giant final practice, the fire ritual. To close this book and your old life, you need a psycho-magic act. 1. Write on a paper everything that has kept you in the loop. Fears, debts, names of toxic people, beliefs of I can't. 2. Write at the bottom, all of this is now null and void, revoked by my will. 3. Prepare a fire or a safe bowl, or a safe. Read the paper out loud with authority. Shout if necessary. 5. Burn the paper. Watch as it turns to ash. Understand that the energy trapped there has been released and returned to the source to be recycled. 6. Wash your hands with water, symbol of cleansing. 7. Do not look back. Conclusion. Game over, new game. The audio stops. The echo of my words fades in your room, and you are left alone with the silence. That silence is the most dangerous and sacred sound that exists. It is the sound of your cell opening. For hours we have dismantled the engineering of your prison. We have seen the gears of the Ouroboros. We have pointed out the invisible Archons and hacked your own mind. You no longer have the luxury of ignorance. Before you could say, I don't know why I suffer. Now you know you suffer because you consent. You suffer because you repeat. You suffer because you have been playing by the rules of a system designed for you to lose. In this precise moment, the old game is over, game over. The character you thought you were, the victim, the stressed employee, the confused spiritual seeker, has died. It was an NPC, non-player character, programmed to walk in circles. You have seen it, you have uninstalled it, but the void cannot remain empty. The screen of your reality is black, blinking with a green cursor waiting for a command. The new game begins, new game. But this time, there is no tutorial, there is no map, there is no script, and that terrifies you. The vertigo you feel in your stomach is real freedom. Freedom is not comfortable. Freedom is abysmal. It means that if tomorrow you wake up and decide to go live in a cave or build an empire, no one will stop you. Not even your old fears if you apply what you have learned. I warn you, the system will not let you go so easily. Tomorrow, the Matrix will notice that an energy unit is missing. You. It will send you a reconnection offer. A family crisis, war news, an ex-partner temptation, or a paralyzing doubt. It will whisper, go back to sleep. It's cold outside. It's safe in here. That will be your final exam. If you react with fear, you restart, level 1. If you smile with the indifference of the sovereign, you win. If you keep walking toward your own north, you will have won. You did not come to Earth to pay debts you do not owe. You did not come to learn lessons through lashes. You came to be the error in the system that sets others free. You came to show that one can live in matter without being a slave to matter. Look at your hands. They are the hands of the programmer. Look at your life. It is malleable source code. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for the world to change. Collapse reality with your mere presence. The loop has broken. The line is straight toward infinity. You have the controller.